we don't have a ton of pleasantries to go over today, but we just give you a chance to say something, and then we're going to get right into getting this through so we can get on to the camp planning portion.
Well, it's great to see everybody. I know that we're still in virtual mode. I think what we're going to find out that 2020 was easier than 2021 because right now it's a very dynamic, and as I've told the whole staff at the region office, pretty much all of our programming, we're about re-engineering as we go because we have to ask the question, is it safe to do it in person? Is it a virtual only? Is it a hybrid mix? Is whatever. So I think my word of caution for 21 is to be quite alert. And if you had your to-do book that you always refer back to, here's how we've normally done it, that book is not going to guide you well this year. Dates are changing, how we're doing is changing, where we're changing it, the words, the whom, the what. So it will be a time for us as professionals to be change makers, change takers, and change followers this year. And you just look at the mix of the group here today compared to the fact that we didn't even do truly a camp planning last year. We weren't having camp at all. So the great thing is we have some type of experience to offer to our youngsters and offer to ourselves this year. So again, welcome to all of those that this is the first time to us, and it is great to get to say back welcome to Holly McMahon, because I'm sure that many of you did not know she was back in the system. She went to Virginia and took one of these sabbaticals and decided really Knoxville's where she wanted to be. So back she is. And just by sheer opportunity, we had the ability to put her on in an agent and training role. So hopefully we will be finding a permanent home for Holly here somewhere in the next 6 to 12 months as time progresses and positions open up. And then welcome to Daniel Collins, your indoctrination to Eastern Region staff here. Good to see you. I know I've been seeing emails from you, so good to see that this side of it. And Mitch, that's all I need to say unless there's a question anybody wants to shoot out. So I know you got a goal of agenda to do to get accomplished today.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And Daniel, we'll let you introduce yourself when we get started. Well, let's go ahead and let you do that because I'm going to let you, why don't we go ahead and do that, and you can talk about electric camp if you're ready. But introduce yourself to this group and tell us a little bit about yourself, that kind of thing, and then we'll go from there.
Well, good morning. Thank you all for allowing me to be here today. I'm just a little bit about electric camp. I'll touch on that really quick here in just a second. But if you haven't heard anything about where I came from, what I did, all that stuff, I was an agent in Virginia and in North Carolina. Then I took on a couple of state roles in North Carolina while I was working on a doctoral program. So now I'm here. This is my third week in. I've hit the ground running with a bunch of different camp and STEM type things, as well as a performing arts troupe. So I've been pretty busy the past couple of weeks. So just to give you a little update about electric camp, I actually have a meeting about electric camp this afternoon. We are hopefully going to get that information out probably by Friday to be able to put that into your all's hands. That's my fingers crossed right there. I'm sure you're aware we are going to do that regionally in a few different places throughout the 4-H centers and at the Western Education Center. But we will be getting some more information out about that as soon as possible. I know a lot of people have been asking about it, so we will get that rolling for you. But it's great to meet you all. Thank you all so much, and I look forward to learning more about the Eastern region.
Thanks, Daniel. And I hope you were on here when I was bragging about that I felt like we had the best agents in the country right here in the Eastern region. And I believe that. And so anyway, I know they'll be here. I know you're going to enjoy working with them, not only in camping, but anything, because it's a great bunch of youth development people. So that being said, we're just going to kind of go down through the deal. If you have a question, we'll try to give opportunities for questions. We're going to try to get all this stuff done prior to the camp planning portion. So the first thing, and I'm gonna see if I can share my screen, we're gonna talk a little bit about public speaking, give you the deal on this. Let's see if I can do this real quick. All right, can y'all see my screen now? I'm trying to get it.
Looks good, Mitch.
Centered up here, okay. All right, so public speaking, this is our proposal. We've not sent it in yet, but we're working on it. But we wanted to give you some sort of idea as we, so you know kind of what was going on, because I've had people have asked, they've said, is this going to be, how's this going to work? Is it going to be face to face? And I've said, yeah, it's going to be face to face one way or the other. We were going to do something face to face if we had to just leave the speakers in the cars. We just felt like that it was time for our speakers to have that opportunity to do that. So anyway, here's the proposal that we have. And of course, our date is, I've been on the calendar, May 8th, and it's going to be over at the Brim Animal Science Building, specifically in the arena. So that's where the gathering point will be. And we say gathering very loosely, obviously, with COVID. Our schedule is, you can kind of see that, and we'll send this out when we get it a little bit closer to, when we get ready. But you'll know we're gonna have a check-in around 12:30 to 1. So we're gonna have an opening and instructions at 1. It's gonna be very short introduction. We're not gonna have an opening ceremony. I'm gonna work with the All-Stars and see if they want to do an opening online or do a virtual opening. So we can show that we have the ability to do that there in the arena. And then approximately around 4 o'clock, we'll have the awards, depending on the numbers we have. If we've got a lot of folks, it might be a little bit later. If we've got a few, then it might be a little shorter day. The procedure is going to be, we're going to, of course, require masks. And what we're going to say is that one speaker can bring, there'll be 3 total per family. So a speaker and two to accompany them, whether that's 2 parents, one parent and a sibling, or one parent and grandparent. It's up to them. They get to bring 3. If they need to bring more than that, and we may have that situation, they just need to get with us, and we'll see what we have. And the reason I say that is because we could end up with a family that's got 2 or 3 speakers that are speaking that day. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but so that we just need to know if there's going to be more than 3, so we can prepare for it. And we don't need, and 10 is not the answer. And 1 or 2 more, maybe we can work that out. So what we're going to do is assemble them into family pods at that time when we get them in the arena to check in, and we're going to try to situate where those pods are going to be and mark off and point them to where that's going to be. And we say a pod, it may be up in the stands. It's going to be in an area that's going to be separated from everybody else. It may be on the floor, and we're going to try to arrange those based on where they're going to be going to speak. And we think we can do that. We've got all the rooms there in Brim. So we may have some up on the mezzanine, and they go out and go on and speak on the top floor. And those may be on the floor that'll go out the front and speak in the bottom floor. So we think we can move those out in that way. We're going to release the speakers so they can go to the rooms. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call the spectators or arrange the spectators to where they come to the room just as their speakers are speaking. And we're going to bring them in the back and put them down. They can listen to the speech, and then we're going to move them on out, and we're going to clean up after them. Maybe have some extra chairs so we don't have to clean them all up at one time. And then once the speaker completes, then they'll be released to go back to their family pod area in the arena. So the speakers, as they speak, they'll leave from there and they'll go to their extemp room. We'll have a place for that. And then once they've completed that, they can go back to the arena and reunite with their family. After we get everything tabulated, we'll have awards. And so we're going to do our awards there, and we're going to separate them out and, and give out the awards that day. We'll follow CDC on that one. And then we thought what we might do, we've got our nice big backdrop and a green screen and all that kind of stuff. We thought we could go ahead and take our pictures of the 4-H'ers. We'll just take them one at a time, and then we'll just kind of probably put them into one group photo. We'll kind of meld it into one group photo. One way or the other, we'll make that work. And then the last thing is our plan, and we're gonna try to use our new equipment that we have to to video our speeches and put them on Facebook Live. So we're going to see how that works. We don't know how well that will work, but we're going to give it our best shot. So with that being said, what questions do you all have concerning that, or are there any?
So, Mitch, am I understanding this right, that if they're the last speaker, they will only be speaking in front of the judges and their family?
Yes, that will be the case. And I don't know any way around that. You know, you know, we're just going to move them back, and that's just movement, and that's just the way to do it. That's not going to be the way it'll be when we get back to normal, but that's probably going to be the way that it's going to be at that thing.
I think it beats doing it online, and at least when they give their speech, they won't have to wear a mask.
That's correct. Anything I left out that we talked about, the region staff, we talked about this yesterday in depth. I don't know if there was anything I left off of that list or not. All right, any other questions? Okay, we will have that, the deadline for that will probably be a week or so, a few days. We'll be getting with Paula and putting a super together for that. And then, you know, again, we'll want to get everybody in. We'll probably put in that super as to who will be accompanying that person. So we'll have that. And the other thing that we'll have to do, we'll be sending, giving you that little online, very similar to our contact tracing thing that we do as employees. There's one for outside groups. And so they'll be getting that, and they'll have to do that as they come into the building or before they come into the building that morning. And I believe that's it. Final questions, anything to add before we move on? All righty then, let's move on to portfolios. Couple things on portfolios, and they're coming up pretty quick for our junior highs and for our senior highs. So let me see if I've got my little thing here on portfolios. Hold on for a second. So on our staff page, let's see if I can get this up here. Down at the bottom, we've added some portfolio resources I think I'm very excited about. And so we discussed with our outgoing level 2 winners, and just, is there a way that we can utilize your portfolios as sample portfolios? You're not competing anymore and that sort of thing. And just about all of them, in fact, all of them were very excited and said, yeah, we'd be glad to do that. So can y'all see that, Ty? Just making sure, thank you. So we, on our staff page, if you go to the, if we go to the 4-H, it's messing with me here a little bit. If you go to our the 4-H pipeline on our staff site, and we have our 4-H programming stuff. If you'll just go down the left side, and we've got all kinds of good resources. We have our portfolio resources over here, and I'm going to spread this out just a little bit so you can see it. And we have links to several portfolios. We've got citizenship, leadership, and then several of the other projects that we have. And hopefully this will be something as we go through. We'll ask all of our outgoing level 2 winners, and these were all level 2 winners. So they've all won, you know, at the highest level. So these are great examples. So just to give you an example, I do have one down here, and we've got the link. You click on the link and then the passcode if you know anything about our Wix sites. But let's see, Laura Grace's I don't think requires it. This is Laura Grace's, and so you can come in and you can see how it works, and you just like if you were a judge or somebody that was looking at her website, you can see all the information that you need to see. Here's her section A and so forth. So just give you an example of some good portfolios, and you know, something I think will be a good resource for you, particularly you new folks. If you go down below that, we've also added some interview resources, and a lot of this stuff is what Lori has provided, you know, and you know, at the state level. So those are listed down through there. Some good things to prepare and, you know, prepare for that. So that's there. We've also added those onto the regular website, our external site. So if you've got a 4-H'er that wants to look at that, they can go right to it. what we would like to say on these portfolios is that you use these if you've got a portfolio workshop and you want to use these, feel free to do so. If you're sitting there with a 4-H'er and they're in one of these projects, or you feel like you can use them, feel free to open that up and let them see that and all that stuff. What we don't really want to do is probably just indiscriminately send that out to everybody. And I don't think there's anything on those portfolios that would be that would be harmful or something that we don't want everybody to get. But we still kind of want to maintain a little bit of their privacy and that sort of thing. And they graciously let us do that. So we just, let's use it as a tool, but it is going to be a great tool, I think, for us. Okay.
And Mitch, I'm really excited that you got that together. I think it's going to be super useful. And just realize that if we give that passcode to a 4-H member, they could change that web page, and we really want to make sure those are preserved. As in college, they may refer back to those in interviews and things to showcase something they've done. So just keep that passcode internally mainly for 4-H agents, or if you have a volunteer that you can trust with that's working with kids doing portfolios.
Actually, I think we're okay on that. I don't think they can actually change it. They'll have to get into the program to do it, but
okay.
But yeah, what you said is good stuff. That's true. All right, and those are coming up. Our state portfolios are coming up there in May, and so those will be coming up for our senior high kids, and then also our junior highs are going to be due on April 12th, and we'll talk more about that here in a few minutes. We'll talk about All-Stars, but if you remember, we talked about the 8th graders can actually, if they put in a portfolio, they have one submitted, then they are eligible to come to All-Star Conference. So, and if you saw the brochure this morning, it talked a little bit about that, and we're going to hit it just a few minutes from that. Questions about portfolios? One other thing, if y'all, I know we're kind of a little bit late in the game, but glad to do any portfolio workshop you have. If I do a lot of these, this is how you do one kind of things, but I can also, this is how you finish one as well. So if you've got a group of kids and you're toward the end and you want to, they need some help, you want to just do a virtual thing, at this point, let me know. I'll be glad to jump in and help you with that. I'll be glad if you've got a question yourself, say, hey, I'm relatively new, like Holly McMahon, she's just new as she can be, and says, hey, can you help me with this portfolio stuff? I'll be glad to share what I have and that sort of thing. So glad to do that. Also, I've got we videoed a lot of our virtual workshops we had last year. So those are available, and I'll be glad to send you that. You've got your choice of about 4 or 5 different counties. So I'll be glad to send you one of those. Or if you just want me to do a workshop, I'll be, the portfolio workshops don't take 15 minutes. They take a little longer than that. So I'll be glad to do that, but just kind of understand that sometimes people want me to do portfolio workshops in Honor Club and say, hey, I'll give you 30 minutes. There's not much I can do in 30 minutes at an Honor Club meeting with portfolios. I mean, I just tell you what they are and what the benefits are, but it's hard to get in and go through a lot of that stuff. So if you need me to come and help you with some of that other stuff, I'll be glad to do that. And that's all I have on portfolios. Let's move on real quick. Oh, good. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So the next thing that we have on the agenda is Clover Bowl. And we met yesterday with our Clover Bowl design team. And so we don't know if we've got this worked out or not. But I'm going to turn it over to Karen. I think Karen is here, and I'm going to let her tell you what we've kind of come up with. And we may have to have a little bit of discussion, but we're going to do the best we can on this. So Karen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. All right, so here's what we've come up with on Clover Bowl. We have decided to leave the date as May 19th because we're afraid if we move it, we'll be on somebody's day camp or somebody's vacation or something like that. What we would like for you all to do between now and May 19th is to reach out to your schools to see if your kids want to participate in the Regional Clover Bowl from school or if it would be better to do that from their home. And we have run into a couple of little snags if they participate from school, one of which is the Quiz Bowl webpage is blocked at some schools. So you might have to work with your web administrator in your Board of Education to get that fixed. And then you might also make sure that they have a way to run Zoom in their classroom if somebody's going to do that. And then another issue that has come up is if they're in school that day, who is going to watch the kids? So that might be another issue. And so if you're not allowed to, or if you can't get into the school and you can't do it, it might be easier to get the kids out of school. So that's something that we'll probably just have to think about and work through. I know it'll be different in my county depending on which team wins the county Clover Bowl. And I'm sure it'll be the same for a lot of you depending on which kids you're talking about, if they're homeschooled or if they're in school. So those are the kind of the issues we have run into. And so we kind of wanted to give you a heads up so that you could be prepared on your end, depending on which team is going to be advancing to the regional contest. I think the main issue is they need to be able to view the Zoom meeting, not only to just see the score, that's not quite as necessary as hearing the questions. And I think that was sort of the big deal. If they can't hear the questions, they sure can't buzz in. That's going to be a problem. So they can't just do it from their smartphone. They've got to have two devices to be able to do that.
And if they're in a group, that may just be one device. I mean, it may just have they may have a computer or have it may be projected or something that they can see it. And then their lockout device, their responder device, which would be a phone or an iPad or something like that. Any questions about that? I think the thing that came up that we're concerned about is we may have an idea of how we're going to do this, and we may not know that these problems exist. So, I think that's the issue that we want to make sure that you get with those schools. We know at least 2 counties, they were out there and they were trying to practice with teachers, and the website was just not in the secure, that was one of the websites that was blocked or partially blocked. So you may want to just check and see and make sure that's going to work as we get closer to that May 19th date. I don't know what we're going to be able to do if we can't do it on May 19th. At this point, we're just sort of in kind of between a rock and a hard place, because I think if we go later, it's going to be a problem. If we go, that day, it may be a problem too. It's just, this was just probably the best of several scenarios.
Is it still going to be an all-day thing, Mitch?
Well, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to combine it. So I don't know. We're thinking about doing the seeding round prior to, and maybe doing it online, like our online program that we had. So like the Qualtrics thing, we would send that out and they would just get online if they're leisure, and they would just log in, go through there and do it. And then we would just take those scores and we would seed them from that. So we would have a shorter day and just do the tournament. But, our point is going to be that we're needing to get this thing done during school, because we know if it's going to be a school type thing, we have to have it done. We need to start after they would get to school, and they need to be done so they can ride the bus home or whatever the case may be. They don't need to, it doesn't need to linger on to 4 o'clock. So, so our point is we're going to get it done during that time. If it takes us 2 rooms for a grade, some of those bigger grades may have 18 or 20. In fact, we've got, I think, 20 teams in 5th grade that from the survey. So that will probably change. It'll probably be, those numbers tend to go down when we get closer. But if we've got 18 or so, and that's going to take us too long to get it done, then we'll just do 2 rooms and make sure that we can get it done. And I think that'll also be a little better situation for you at the school, or for whoever's at the school working with those kids. If they don't have them spread out over 5 hours, they maybe spread them out over 2 or 3, so that might help as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? We know it's going to be tough, and we just have to do what we can do. And we hope
I would just say everybody has that login, but we're still happy to help you. If you need to run a practice and you need to get used to that, we're happy to get on Zoom with you and work with you on that.
Right. And it's a much easier system than what we had last year. But if we remember last year, we weren't in school. Everybody was at home. And so, you know, we were using the system. The other system worked good, but it wasn't as good as this one. It wasn't as easy. But everybody was at home. We knew where they were. This was not a factor last year, what we're talking about. So, all right. Any other questions about Clover Bowl? Steve Edwards, Campbell County's pretty good at Clover Bowl. Y'all good with that up there, you think?
We'll see.
Okay. All right. And Brooke somewhere.
Looking for 5 teams from Campbell County, Steve.
There you go. All right, Donna, you had a question?
Do we know when we can tell folks what the schedule will be? When those decisions will be made as far as seeding rounds or having to do that, what time they're going to actually start?
Yeah, we'll get that. You know, I was going to say we get by April 1, but we'll try to have that out by April 15th for sure. That gives us over a month, and it may be earlier than that. I'm getting kind of the feel that everybody just kind of is accepting that at this point, and so I'd say by April 15th we'll have that in. We'll have it in Super and have it, and we'll have all the necessary stuff, all the links and everything for seating and all that. I hate to do seating like that. I'm other than, you know, I love seating round because I think that's one of the things that, you know, when we're at a contest, that it gets everybody kind of, they understand what's going on and gets them used to the system and all that. But I think it's probably going to be better if we get that done ahead of time and do the tournament during, you know, with the situation we're dealing with. All right. Anything else? All right. Good deal. All right. Well, let's go to All-Star Conference, and I'm going to see if I can pull up. You should have gotten your brochure this morning. I want to thank our All-Star advisors. This was one of those deals that was, it was kind of crazy. Let's see if I can get this up here. It was kind of crazy making it all work this time, and I appreciate them. And I want to say about our advisors and our kids, you know, this group of All-Star council members and all of these kids right now, they're COVID. They were, you know, they came on a virtual conference. They were elected virtually, and really the only thing they had an opportunity to do, we had a retreat back last fall that we were planning those fall conferences, and it was you know, we thought we had that, and after that, then those conferences we couldn't have them due to COVID, and then also our spring retreat we had kind of planned there in early January. We didn't feel like it was good for that after we canceled the hog show and all that. So this group has had to do everything virtually, so they planned this conference, and you know, again, in a virtual kind of way. It's a great group of kids. You know, just a great group of kids. And so I would hope that we can kind of promote this as much as we can. If you look on if you got the brochure, we're going to be going to camp on June the 5th. Going to be a one-day deal. We've already talked about this a little bit, but this is the kind of the promotional deal. Couple things I want to mention. We've got the price and all this stuff over here. All our deadlines are going to be Monday the 24th. And that is all going to come out on Super pretty quickly as well. So you'll have that. And in addition to that, if you remember, we talked about 8th graders coming. We had thought when we made that decision, it was going to be, they were all going to get to come and have get to come to spring conference for 3 days and all that, but they're going to get to come face to face anyway. So we've got a panel there that talks about the 8th graders and what you need to do for those. We think this would be really great for them to be able to do that. They won't be running for office or voting or any of that kind of stuff, but they will get to come and do some of the other things that are going on and see how it works. And then they'll be 9th graders that fall. So they're only coming like one cycle ahead or half a cycle ahead of everybody what we've normally done in the past. But we feel like that's great. We feel like it's an opportunity also get those 8th graders involved in portfolios if they haven't already done that, or to award them for doing that. So a couple things real quick, and if we go down here and look at this, the conference highlight part, you know, the schedule, we're planning on arriving around, starting around 10, but 9:30 to 10 being our registration point there. All these times are Eastern. And then we're going to go through the deal. We're going to have elections and all that great stuff, do service projects, have a campfire, have a dinner. We're going to do a little senior recognition at our dinner. And then we're going to try to adjourn at 7 o'clock. So that's still very light. There's still a lot of light there. So for those that are getting as far away, probably that ought to get them back home by you know, 10-ish, 9 to 10 o'clock for sure. So if we have somebody that has an issue with that, and maybe some of our council members or something, then we'll need to talk about that. But I think we had talked about the possibility, and Scotty was real good to say, hey, if we've got some of those kids that are going to be late getting back home, we don't want them to, you know, we don't want anything bad to happen. And he was willing to put them up, but we talked to the kids, we thought we could get this thing scheduled, get it in there and get it done by 7 o'clock. So it may be a little later than that, you know, when everybody says bye and all that kind of stuff, but that I think will work. And I think that was one of the concerns we had. A couple of things real quick. Elections are always in the spring. And so we've got our elections it's all going to be virtual this time. And we're going to be doing, so our application is virtual. So if you go on our webpage and go to that officer application, is a virtual application. And if they have to fill that out, there's a portion in there for their parents to look at. We will have on their super, we will have a place that they will be running for officers as well. So we know that that's coming, that we've got somebody that's running for office. And then if you have a person that's running for office, then we ask you just to send me an email so that you say, hey, this person's okay. This person probably doesn't need to be an officer, kind of thing. You just let us know as an agent. You know, we just don't want to get in any problems. We very rarely do, but you know, we get somebody that's new sometimes. You know, it might be something like, well, they're just not ready. Maybe next year might be a better deal. But just let us know that as we start putting that together, and we'll deal with that accordingly. And then also on the application, there'll be a place for their email, and we're going to put on there that email needs to be really good, because once we get that email, we're going to send them an orientation video, an orientation application, or orientation Google Forms, and it's going to have an orientation video that they have to watch. And in that video, they'll determine what office they're going to run for and all that. And so that's how we're going to utilize that to do that. So that's going to save us some time at the conference, and it ought to be something that'll work pretty good. Also, if you'll notice there, we've got a fillable deal. So you can email this to them, and they can fill this out, and it's fillable, and they can email it back, save it and email it back to you, and have all the information there, a lot of drop down boxes and all that kind of stuff. So we'll make it a little bit easier on you or your admin as they put that into super. So which brings us to the other part of the conference, which is our mini conferences that we're going to have around the region. And we've got 4 of those planned. And at the bottom of that, there is a chance there for them to come down and say, yeah, I'll be attending the mini conference, and they can pick their sub-region and all that stuff. So we're just kind of learning them, I guess, getting them a chance to learn what their sub-region is, because we've also got it listed up here beside their county when they do their drop down. But we've got 4 of those scheduled across the region. And so I'm going to go ahead and let each of our advisors give their reports. And I'm just going to start. I see Emily right there. Emily, if you want to talk about the upper 8 real quick, I'll turn it over to you, and you can tell how that's going to work.
Sounds good. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, I'm seeing you guys nodding. All right, and I'll move this down so I'm actually looking at you instead of y'all looking up my nose as I talk.
Do you need to share anything?
I do not have anything visual yet. I will hopefully have.
I
think Friday's our deadline. So in the upper 8, we are coming to Elizabethton for a day in downtown. And what is that going to look like? Jim and Rebecca, those are our two officers from the upper 8. They really ask for more of an explore type day, not so much sitting in business sessions, but out and about, doing some fun things, just getting to be together, making sure we get a service project. So we will convene on downtown Elizabethton at 9 o'clock that morning. We have a lot of exciting things coming to downtown revitalization wise. So we're going to get to use the new meeting space downtown. From that morning, we'll do some icebreakers for about check-in, icebreakers, opening business. And then the upper 8 will have a chance to pick between the downtown escape room or the downtown painted pottery shop, which is called Fired Up. So those signing up in the upper 8 will pick one of those. They will, from the meeting room, they'll disperse in their groups to either escape room or the painted pottery, with a deadline to be back by 12 for lunch. So those activities take about 2 hours start to finish. If they get finished early, they'll kind of like we have when we go to Gatlinburg, they'll have their perimeter of where they can kind of visit the downtown shops. We have a park right off downtown that they can visit with their group leader and in their groups. So over lunch, our local restaurant, go ahead.
Mitch, we can still see your screen.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Anastasia.
Thanks. I was trying to find that date for that portfolio.
So over lunch, one of our local restaurants is going to take care of us for lunch, and they'll have a couple of choices for us. And then in the afternoon, we have the Tweetsie Trail, which is a bike trail that runs right behind our downtown. And on that trail, we have a section dedicated to the Storybook Trail, where they put in a book that you can walk and read with your family. Well, it's in need of some updates. So if the weather is nice, we will be out there updating the Storybook Trail, doing some painting and landscaping out there. If the weather is bad, we've got indoor service projects back at the meeting space to take care of, and that will take us to dismissal at 4. So we hope you will send your upper 8 kids to Elizabethton for the day, and we'll have a big group ready to go.
Okay, so let's look at Great Northwest. Christy.
Okay, so our mini conference is going to be on May the 15th. It will be at South Fentress Elementary. We are actually going to do some service projects, a couple there at the school. The principal has got some stuff that we can do at the school to help improve it some. We are still going to be having a guest speaker. Our guest speaker is very supportive of our 4-H program in the county. So he's actually still wanting to come and speak to the kids that are there. We are providing a lunch. We'll have some icebreakers, and we're also going to do some type of scavenger hunt there at the school, something fun for the kids to do. And we have in mind for the time to be 9 to 3 Central Time.
Okay. Is that it? Good?
That's it.
All right. That's Great Northwest. Aaron, I see you down there. I'll let you talk a little bit about SEC.
So I guess the big challenge for our SEC mini conference is it is the first of the 4 that we're doing, and it's coming up really quick. It'll be April 17th. And I know that's pretty quick on the horizon, but we've got lots of things on the schedule, as all of y'all know. And we've got graduation parties and graduations themselves all happening in May. And most of the kids just that we've talked to, including Tim and Maddie, who are our regional council members. So I talked to them, and they wanted to try to get it done in April. So we've also got some weddings happening at the Rhea County Fairgrounds where we'll be having this. So that was kind of our open date. That was the farthest out. So on April 17th, we'll meet at the Rhea County Fairgrounds. We do have several buildings there. We can spread out if need be. During our service project time and things we'll be doing. Lunch will be provided by a local restaurant. Been in talks with Banjo's Barbecue, and I think they're going to cook us up something real nice that day. Probably some couple options, probably a chicken and a pork option both for lunch. And we will be doing some things outside, including one of the service projects there on the grounds for the county. So we look forward to having everybody come over to Rhea County in the SEC and enjoy that day.
Okay, thanks. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over then to, last but not least, James McMillan.
Thank you, Mitch. Also, thank you to those agents that responded to my little survey, because we know that May is busy with prom, well, maybe not proms, but graduations. But I noticed on your flyer, Mitch, you have the date wrong. The Big 9, it will be May 15th. And I know somebody responded that there are graduations going on there, but that was the best date that we could come up with. And we're going to start at 9:30 with registration, with actual kickoff at 10. We've come up with an escape room activity. We're going to do a campus tour of the Ag campus, trying to avoid the construction or destruction going on. And we thought about changing that maybe to a scavenger hunt, so that they could sort of visit some of the buildings over there. And it's going to be on the Ag campus at Brim Animal Science. We're going to have a box lunch provided, and several service projects planned. If the weather is cooperative, we're going to try to get them out and about as much as possible. But since the university has their own Hort department, one of the kids wanted to do some beautification around the Ag campus, and we sort of told them that, well, we probably won't be able to do that activity.
I thought that we could go over and plant some flowers over there where Hollingsworth is at.
Probably not.
That'd be great.
But the gardens are there, and we're going to try to incorporate that into our scavenger hunt if the weather is cooperative. But May 15th.
Okay, we'll change that. And I apologize on the brochure. We'll make that change before we get that posted and send that out. We had a few typos there. Also wanted to add that we will be having we'll have a little one-page flyer from each of our areas, from each of our multi-county groups, and we'll post those on the web as well, so that you can give that out to each of to folks in your region to go to those mini groups. We really like the mini conference concept, so we think that'll be great. Hopefully, if we get back to normal, to maybe have a mini conference or something like that, that when we come, that would be an opportunity for us to do something when we kind of get back to a face-to-face thing. We think that'd be kind of neat, because that group doesn't get together very often. Yes, to clarify, it was May 15th. All right.
Hey, Mitch.
And Christy, since yours, mine was wrong, what is that date for you again?
May 15th.
May 15th. So yours is May 15th as well. We had that down wrong.
Mitch, while you're writing that down, our registration for Upper 8 needs to be April 15th. I have to commit to everybody about 3 days after that. So that gives me just enough turnaround. So for my Upper 8 folks, April 15th is registration deadline, and May 1st is our day.
Okay. Any other questions about conference or their conferences?
Mitch, did they say Big 9 was the 15th instead of the 14th?
It is the 15th. It's on that Saturday.
Making sure.
Yeah.
I also failed to mention, are we still going to do T-shirt? Should I mention that?
I don't think we ought to
Okay.
That's a secret, Jim.
Okay.
That, for just the Big 9.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Well, I will go ahead and mention it. We are going to do a big T-shirt for the Big 9. And if you will see on the brochure, it says that many conferences all be $30. Of course, we're going to have to pay for a lunch that day. So we're going to give that just to budget that. So the others may have them as well. But we knew that Emily and up in the Upper 8, they had a whole bunch of things that they were doing, and they're going to need that. So we hated to say, okay, they're going to pay more than these down here. So we're just trying to find something in some of our other groups to do that. So there may be a T-shirt, or there may be door prizes, or there may be something, but that's the way that's going to work.
And thank you, Emily, for setting the bar so high.
Setting the bar high. Any other questions that you have this morning about All Stars?
Mitch, I have a question.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for rolling that time back a little bit so that those of us that are far away can get our kids home. Second, how do you feel since it's a one-day event? If we want to transport our kids up there, how do you feel about us coming and staying the day and bringing them back home?
That's probably above my decision-making process, but I think we're not going to have any problems as far as agents coming if that's the case. But we'll probably need to work that out. We've not even thought about that at this point as far as transportation. And David, is that something you can speak to?
I think the big thing is just to follow those guidelines on how many in a vehicle and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. That might be.
Hey, Mitch, this is Sharon Davis.
Yes.
What's since it's going to be so late and all, what's the possibility of getting a bus and just, at least meeting them in Knoxville for those like Hamilton and Bradley, and because we did have concerns about kids driving late too, because the older kids may drive. I don't know.
Well, I think that as long as we follow those, our bus situation, if we've got a county that's doing that, our buses, we can, you can do that. Somehow have to plan that and coordinate that. So, if some counties want to go together and do that, I think that's fine. David, am I overstretching there? David may be off of the phone call. Daniel, I don't know if you have any say so or any thought process in that. Do you see that as an issue?
I don't see that as an issue, but it's one of those that it's probably above my pay grade too right now, because I'm still learning more about the policies.
Yeah, let me talk about that. Let me talk about that with our group. I know I don't see that it's an issue, and certainly going back to Lynn's original question, as long as we follow what our UT guidelines are in vehicles. You can't take very many, but if you've got a minivan or something like that, we'd be glad to, well, of course we may need it for ourselves on some of our van, but if you've got a minivan, or you can get a minivan or get a 12 passenger and follow the rules as far as getting them there, that would be fine. I also, Lynn, it might be a great thought process if we've got a county down there that could have a bus driver bring that bus up. That would be a possibility from down that way. We catch a lot of kids. We're expecting probably 75 kids. We usually have average about 100, a little more than 100 on a regular spring conference. But spring has always been down a little bit for us, but we expect 75. So if you had a bus that could come up through there and get some, that would probably help the cause a little bit. So let's talk about that and see if that would be okay. And but I think it probably would be.
Okay, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Good question. Anybody else got a question about All-Star Conference? Okay, I'm going to.
So, Mitch, my only question is, how did you fit the All-Star Council into a DeLorean on the back page there?
Well, the magic of the cinema. Y'all haven't seen that video. That video is great. We knew Tim helped to drive a DeLorean. And some of the other council members, the looks on their faces will probably say that he can't. But anyway, appreciate you noticing that time. All right,
is that on the website where we can access that and show it at our meeting?
Well, that video is from. It don't make sense now that it was for the fall conference. So I can get you the video just so you can laugh at Tim, Lynn, but it don't make a lot of sense in promotional deal. But you're welcome to have it. I'll be glad to give it to you.
Yes, I want it just to laugh at Tim. Thank you.
Tim, yeah. And Tim is not doing anything other than what Tim normally does, but it's still fun.
Mitch?
Yes.
For transportation, as I'm looking at the UT Motor Pool or transportation guidelines, it still looks as though if you had a minivan, you could still only have 4 occupants, so we can only take 3 children. That's even with renting a minivan. So especially with the younger ones, parents may choose to drive their children. Can we arrange for them to stay? I mean, most folks are not, and do they pay for the
Well-
lunch, drop them off? I mean, what are the options
I
for
don't
those
mind,
parents?
I don't mind having them stay. I think what our issue may be is we're gonna get more people there than we're supposed to have. So I don't have a problem with that. I think if we can do that, we will probably have to, figure out a fee, and I'll get with Scotty and figure out our fee and see what that will be. We'll have to just check through that, but yeah, I understand that that's the way that some of those folks are gonna have to do that. And we can just utilize them as volunteers if that's the case. So we probably need to, send, certain volunteers for that.
Mitch, if that comes up, can we release them to Greenville and let them
Yeah,
just sort of shop around somewhere? I mean,
you bet.
just have
They
them
may
stay
want to
on
do that.
site.
They
Huh?
may want to do that if they're gonna be having to social distance from everybody anyway. So
Yeah.
we'll just have to play that by ear, Donna.
Greenville does have a lot of historical things there, museums and Andrew Johnson's house, so the parents can make a day of it.
That'd be great.
Well, and my same question applies for the sub-regionals as well, because we have the same transportation issues if the parents are taking them.
I think that would be something, Christie, in your particular case, or any of our sub-region ones. I think we just felt like these are gonna be dropped off at UT. Again, we just have to play that by ear and see. If we've got room for them to be there, we'll do that. We're assuming that we're probably looking at around 30 to 40 tops at any of these multi-county groups. But I'm sure, Emily, that when we talked with you, I'm sure you felt like that parents were just gonna drop the kids off, right?
I know that was the Big 9 plan, and we're ending, what was it, 3:30, 4 o'clock?
Right. Yeah, we were going into 4.
I was thinking drop off too, but there's so much right here. I mean, they could head over to Bristol, Johnson City, up to the Round Mountain if the weather's good. So families could kind of drop their kid off and make a day of it elsewhere, but they're welcome. I mean, we'll fit them in. My group sizes for my outings can be fine, and we'll use all the help we can get at service. So
I think that's exactly. I think the smart thing to do is probably to, of course, interest counties is going to be the hardest one because it's kind of out there. I don't know how much there's not a real financial or shopping district there in Clark Range, I don't think, but for the others, I think it's probably a smart thing just to tell parents if they're going to drive them, just drop them off and they can go and and just have a day there in that town. Or Risky, if you've got space and all that stuff, why don't you work with your people and see if that's something, that y'all can find a place for them to be there at the school. I'm assuming that there might be some space there to do that, and y'all can work out lunches because you're going to be doing it yourself anyway. Just kind of charging for lunch. So. Is that doable for everybody? And then we'll just kind of plan that as we go and see. Any other questions on that? Good questions, really. Okay. Well, if there's not, I'm going to turn it over to Ty, and he's going to talk about judging teams a little bit.
Thanks, Mitch, and thanks to both the Clover Bowl leadership team and those all-star advisors and Mitch. There's been a fury of activity on both those just in the last week or two, and it's neat to see what's coming together. So I was just going to mention a little bit on livestock judging, or on all the judging team contests. I just pulled up our list of events that we shared with you at the meeting at the beginning of this month, highlighted each judging contest. So our first one is livestock judging coming up next week, April 6th at 6 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to be virtual. I think we've talked about that last time pretty in detail, and still have the same plan. We will not have oral reasons. We'll have some additional questions on some classes for senior high. And then we have meets judging April 20th. And just a note there, this is how it's set up in Super, and you should get an email today with the Super registration link and just some basic details about meets judging. But the grade levels, since we are doing this in the spring instead of the fall, our junior high is grades 6 through 8, senior high is grades 9 through 12. So there's just a tiny shift there. And so just note that's a little bit different from it when we meet in the fall with that team. Horse judging contest will be May 4th, 6 p.m. And again, we plan to do some questions for senior high in place of reasons at this point. We have pretty well firmed up having the Region 4-H Wildlife Judging Contest face-to-face at the Holston unit with the East Tennessee Ag Research and Education Center. That'll be kind of the normal afternoon setup. So we realize that does conflict a little bit with the horse show. So we hope that doesn't cause too many difficulties, but we'll work through those if some arise. And then we do plan to have the Region 4-H Outdoor Meat Cookery Contest at the end of August 28th, on schedule as we would normally hold it. So we're hoping that will hold and we can offer that. We think things are getting a little bit more under control by August, that we can pull that event off. We'll probably have to space out more than usual, probably out into the parking lot to spread teams out, and it may look a little bit different, but we're going to try to make that thing happen as close to usual as we can. Also wanted to mention with the Region 4-H Horse Show, we had several of you that volunteered to fill in for folks that had conflicts when we had to change the date. And David Perrin was nice enough to say that for every extension agent that is working that event, the Eastern Region will cover all of their travel, mileage, hotel, and per diem, whether they are TSU or 4-H agents. So thank you to those of you that volunteered and for those of you that are assigned for fulfilling that. And also we did get a volunteer for the Region Horse Show to work that, but we're looking for a volunteer to go to the State 4-H Horse Show, and that travel will be paid as well. So that would not cost your county or your usual travel account at all to go to that State 4-H Horse Show June 14 to 18. So see if that's something that you might like to take on, and we would welcome a volunteer before we have to start looking harder for volunteers. I also just want to mention that check your assignments. Things are changing so fast that it would be easy to miss an assignment. And so just kind of review what you've got for assignments if you don't mind. And if we've tried to keep those dates corrected and up to date as things change, but if you have a question or not sure, or if you think something doesn't quite look right, there's been a change and it's not updated in assignments, just let us know, because there's so many moving targets right now. We want to make sure everybody is on the same page. So just let us know if you see something that's not quite right or doesn't make sense, but I think it's in good shape. Thanks everybody. And Mitch, I'm going to unshare it. You can keep going. If there's no questions, any questions about judging teams?
I have a question, Todd. It's Greg. Have you heard, my kids keep on asking me, and I hate to bother you, are they going to do a state forestry contest, or you haven't heard from Larry? Or
I've brought it up with Larry. At this point, there's not any certainty about that.
Okay. I didn't know if the other regions were able to have one, too. I'm not for sure.
So Mitch, we brought that up in the State 4-H meeting, and I don't think we got an answer on if teams would be eligible to do anything the next year either.
No, I mean, they're not sure what they're going to do, but I don't think there's a national contest, was there? That's the other reason why they're not real excited. They're not real pushed to do a state, is because there's not going to be a national contest. So we've
been the one pushing to get some of those things done, but we just haven't seen it come to fruition.
No problem. Thank you, Ty. Mitch, appreciate it.
Hey, Ty,
Sure.
Do you have any idea when the information about what they're going to be judging for wildlife contest is coming? I mean, do we know when that's expected to be out?
I think we'll have that pretty soon now that we've identified that they will be face to face. I'll check with Craig and see if we can get a hold of that here in the next week.
Yeah, that decision with Craig was just made this week, or was made, what, Monday or Friday? We got that email that they had, that they were gonna do it. He didn't want to do a virtual, I mean, he wanted to do one or the other for everybody. So yeah, we had to get that from everybody across the state. So we just found that out. So he'll probably be sending that to us pretty quickly. What do you think, Ty?
Yeah, I'll ask for that today.
On that same note of wildlife, if there is a state contest and if there is a national contest, can we have those dates so we can be planning?
We'll try to get it. I think, again, that's probably another thing, Emily, he just now worked out the region part. So I'd say he's just now starting to think along the state level. And I'm not sure about the national deal. I don't know if that's something that they're, I don't know, have a clue to even start thinking about that at this point. They know if they know yet.
Hey Mitch, I had pulled up the WEP website last night, and they do have dates for the national competition. It's July 17th through the 20th in Kentucky, if that helps anybody.
So write those down. I'm assuming they went ahead and scheduled those in case they could have them. Other questions about judging teams?
You said more information is coming today about livestock judging, correct?
No, we were talking about announcing the registration for meats judging and horse judging will be coming soon after that. So I think what we've got out for livestock is pretty thorough, but if there's something you need, let us know.
We may send out a link if we get a chance, that just so that your kids can practice on that link. But if we don't, we'll work on that evening. I know that's going to be a long night. Other questions about judging teams or other things that he talked about? Okay, quickly wanted to do an academic conference update. Y'all should have seen that. And I had a few questions about it. A few things a little different. Obviously, we're having a one-day event at 4 different locations across the state. So that's a little different. But a couple things along those lines that are also different. The process itself is the same as it's always been as far as what that 4-H'er is going to be doing to apply to go to academic conference. They're going to fill out the application, and then they're going to attach to that application the section A's that relate to those project choices they've got. So I would suggest that if you've got a 4-H'er that's has more than one choice, that they go ahead and add those section A's just to speed the process up a little bit. But anyway, and those need to be emailed. Okay, so they're going to need to be in a digital format, so they'll need to be scanned or digital begin with as you assemble that application. It needs to all be digital, so they can be emailed. They're going to be emailed to Joy at the state office, Joy Taylor, and she's going to be putting all that together for Lori Gallimore. Now, 2 or 3 things different. The deadline is going to be April 26th, which is way later than we normally do. And they're going to the state. They're not coming to us. So they'll go to the state, and what they're going to do at the state, they're going to sort those by location. And so our 4-H'ers will have the choice on what location, if it's going to be UT, Tennessee Tech, Middle Tennessee State, or UT Martin. I would think most of our region will be going with UT, but there'll be some probably that'll be more interested in going to Tennessee Tech. I mean, they could go anywhere else if they want to. So make sure that as those applications go in and you're doing the registration for that in Super, that you have consulted with your families about where they want to go, and that's the big thing. There is the transportation. They'll be providing their transportation. So for the most part, then that's probably going to be UTK. But also, if you're in those peripheral counties over there, that's kind of in the Upper Cumberland area, that might be, they may want to go to Tech. but anyway, that needs to go into super so that when the state sorts those applications out, they get in there and they know who's going to what. The other thing is just to know, as you're putting this in, this is not, most of the time we're registering for Roundup or something. We're putting all our information in. We know we're going and all that. That's not what's happening in this particular registration. We're just signing up for them to compete to get a spot. So just because you get them in super, that does not mean that they're necessarily going to get to go, or that they're going to get to go to the location they chose. So that once that happens, we'll go back and we'll go through the placement process and trying to do that. So anyway, that's kind of the way the process is going to be. You've got an email from Lori, from Joy, on behalf of Lori, and then I followed up on that. So you've had 2 emails that kind of explain this whole thing. So you should have a pretty good idea. If you've got any other questions, feel free to ask about that. 2 other things I want to mention about this, and we'll move on. Because this is going to be a one-day event, Lori has asked that we provide 16 folks to serve as team captains. And basically, if you've ever been to academic conference as either a 4-H'er or an agent or whatever, you know that they're going to be in their project groups and they need somebody to work with them. Well, normally during academic conference, we've got all these volunteers and we've got all the agents that are assigned coming into one location. Now we've got all this spread out over 4, so we need some folks to help with that. We've only got a couple of agents that would necessarily be assigned. So one thing, just so that you all know this, I sent this out, talked with David, and made sure he was okay, that we asked program assistants, if our 4-H program assistants would like to be a part of that. If that was okay, he said, check that out with our county directors, and we checked with them, and our county directors have said that's okay, unless there was a problem or 2, and there were a couple with somebody not being able to work, but that's okay. So we're going to ask our program assistants. We're not assigning them by any stretch. We're going to just offer it to them because we know that very rarely do they ever get a chance to work to take part in a state event for a lot of different reasons. And so this would be an opportunity for them to be there. Nothing that has to be done ahead of time or planning. That planning will all be done, and they'll have the procedures to what they're doing. They're basically going to be kind of the team captain for that group, that particular project area, get lunches, help that group work through. I don't think there'll be a ton of walking or any of that kind of stuff. So it ought to be a pretty good kind of deal. So we're going to offer that to them. And then we know that won't particularly cover it. So then we'll probably send out an email in the next day or 2 asking for any agents that would like to volunteer for that day. We would love for you to be there and help us on that too. So we're trying to get to our 16. So if just so that you know that that's coming out, and that's just a little different thing to make that work for the one that's going to be in our area. Questions about that?
Mitch, related to academic conference, in Lori's email, it doesn't say anything about a fee. In the past, children have paid a fee. Is there going to be a fee? Because they need to know that.
I thought there was going to be a fee, and I thought it was going to be on there. Is it not on super or something?
Not
because we discussed that. We discussed that, and that might have been something that was left off. But I will check and send that out. But I think there will be a fee for that day because I know they're eating lunch, so I know they'll cover that lunch. I'll check with that and see. Good question. I thought it was on there.
Well, I'm logging on to super right now. Maybe it says if in super it does say a fee of $25. It doesn't in the email.
Thanks. I was going to say that. I thought that was kind of what we discussed. About $25 or $30 is the going rate for these one-day deals, I think. All right. Other questions about academic conference?
And just remember, just because you put them in super doesn't mean they're going until that selection process finishes. So it's a little different than we're used to.
Right. And what's going to happen, is that's going to go to the state, and they're going to send those to us. They're just sorting them by the location. So we'll get those back for the Knoxville area, and we'll try to place as many. We get 7 per project. So we're going to place as many like we always do as we can. So it'll still be kind of in our hands to kind of do that. And that's more of a placement thing than a judging thing. We just want to try to get as many of those that go to the trouble of filling out an application to get an opportunity to take part in that if they want to. Other questions? Anything I left off? Ty, Nancy, Justin? All right.
Hey, Mitch.
Yep.
Oh, if we had a child that did, say, the swine project last year, can they do that again this year or not?
I don't know. I'm assuming that would be but that last year was that. I think we talked about that. I'm not sure. I'll check on that and see because last year really didn't count. I mean, they won in that if it was last year. It would almost have to go back 2 years ago because I think last year's kind of like UT football. It don't really count.
Last year, Lori's email said that it would not count as a child's.
Right. So I'd say last year we're good. And then you'd almost have to go back 2 years ago and you're going to lose most of those. You won't have very many in those areas. So I'd say you're good if they want to go back in swine. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? All right. Nancy, I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you talk a little bit about Fashion Design Camp.
Thank you, Mitch. First, I want to thank Elizabeth and Anastasia for giving leadership to Fashion and Design Conference and the team that many of you are here and on the program. I'm going to grab an email real quick. They are working on brochure for this, and they are looking at the subregions for locations. The Great Northwest is securing their location, but it should be available pretty soon. The Big 9 at Brim Animal Science on June 15th. Upper 8 Appalachian Fairgrounds on June 22nd. And the SEC at Tri-State Exhibition Center on July 13th. They are going to have time period from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They're requesting that parents are not staying at this event. It's a drop off and pick up, and just due to the numbers. And the plan is to have 3 spots that you will sign up for on registration day for 3 youth, and then at 4 o'clock that day, the registration will open for anybody else, and they'll start a waiting list. So as far as being able to provide that opportunity. And so the brochure and information should be coming from that team fairly quickly. And Anastasia, if you have any other update, please feel free to jump in and share that. Or Justin, you may, if there's okay, he said no. So
no, I don't have anything else either.
Okay, all right. So so that takes care of that. So be looking for that information. It should be coming out fairly soon.
Okay, any other questions there? Thanks, Nancy. Justin, and you want to talk a little bit about Quilt Camp?
All right, so good to be with everybody this morning. I'm going to share this flyer. Ty, can you see that? Give me a thumbs up. All right, good deal. So what you're seeing here is the Eastern Region 4-H Quilt Camp flyer for this summer. They're going to maintain a day camp just as everything else this summer. And Vicki Clark and Connie Sharp and Ina Ponder, I know a couple of them are on here, as well as Sarah Vaden and Carol Brandon have worked on this, and Sarah Ransom. But they're going to maintain that same week that they traditionally do Quilt Camp, that second week of July. So they're going to do 1 day each week back to back. So the first day they'll be doing a lot of preparation pieces, and then that next week they're hoping to come back and finish if the 4-H'er wants to come back and participate in that. So this flyer will come out with more information and super registration details. It will cost $25. I think we've pretty well established that across the board with most of our day camps. That's pretty close. We're in that close price range there. There will be 12 spots per sub-region, so they're limiting it to 12 participants per sub-region. If you have a date or you have a 4-H'er that would prefer to go on the 13th or 14th, as opposed to the 12th or the 15th, or vice versa, any of those scenarios, they can register across subregions, but they are limiting each site to 12 participants. So this will come out along with super registration details, hopefully by Thursday this week. So Connie and Anna, do you all have anything to add? You all have been working on this. I'm really truly the messenger on this one. So if there's anything you'd like to add, please feel free to do so.
Justin, the only thing I could think of, we talked about, do we want to like limit one person for the first day with 12 before we opened it up? That was the thing that I felt like we had loose ends on. How were we going to do registration?
Right. And I've got a message out to Vicky just to clarify that. Send this out to everybody. So,
Hey, Justin, you may want to check with Vicky also, because July the 21st, that's the first I've heard of quilt camp the second time, and we do not have Tri-State Reserve for that.
okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything else for Justin? Okay, Lauren McCoy, are you on? I've got so many I can't see, but we'd like for you to talk about.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Can you talk about TAE 4HW State Conference?
I sure can. So the TAE 4HW State Conference this year is now a one-day event. It is going to be at the Rutherford County Extension Office. It is $19 to attend. It's May the 6th. I know Dr. Broyles sent out a call for hold on, let me find the email. He sent out an email yesterday around 3 o'clock for proposal submissions. So look for that if you have anything that you want to submit and present at our one-day state meeting. It is from 9:30 to 4. And we are, I don't know if anyone else other than Nancy and myself is a committee or a committee chair for the national board meeting. But if you are a committee chair for the national board meeting, we are doing a planning date on the 7th. So please keep that in mind. If you are a committee chair for the national meeting, I actually had a meeting with my committee a while ago, and we couldn't think of anyone else. But if there's anyone that we're missing in the Eastern region that is helping plan that national meeting, please make sure that you are planning to stay on the 7th as well. And that's all I have.
All right, any questions for Lauren?
Hey, Mitch, can I add one more thing? And they are talking, this is just tentative plan, but they are planning a Zoom on Wednesday, probably evening or afternoon, for awards right now for TAE 4HW. So just be aware of that, just due to the time crunch. So they were going to do it virtually. So just in case, just be aware of that, because that detail has not come out yet, but that's tentatively the plan right now. So I just wanted to kind of put that bug in your ear to pay attention if that email comes through.
I also talked to Shelby. This was something else I just now realized. I talked to Shelby earlier this morning. They had a committee meeting yesterday. So she said they would be getting out the link for registration either today or tomorrow. It has not been sent out yet, but they are getting that out in the next 2 days.
Lauren, was that April 7th?
No, that's May the 7th. The day after the state meeting. We're doing a face-to-face meeting. So the national board, we've been meeting the first Tuesday of every month via Zoom to try to keep everyone on the same track with the national meeting. But we've not been able to have a face-to-face. So we are trying our best to do something face-to-face so we can all be on the same page. It's still they are planning on a hybrid model for the national meeting as of right now. But that is not 100% guaranteed. So it's kind of like we're at a standstill. We've got everything planned, or we're in the process of getting everything planned, but purchasing wise, it's just a headache because we won't know until, what is it, Nancy, like mid-May, if they're going to do anything. And then that leaves just a few months to get ready. So we're hoping that by May the 7th, we may have a little more information. And that's what we're doing on the day after our state meeting, is having that face-to-face meeting for the committee chairs for the national meeting.
Lauren, will they be sending out an email with information, dates, times, location?
That now, yes. What committee chair are you?
I am the souvenir purchasing for the souvenir items, the gifts.
Okay. I will message Jamie Harris and make sure you get on that list. But yes, there should be an email coming out with that information on it.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Lauren, this is Connie. I think a lot of people are serving on committees. I know I'm serving on the table favors and stuff, but Lori's chairing that. But on the invite, they sent out the information about the Peabody Hotel, and you could actually reserve rooms now, but we don't have the registration stuff yet. Nancy, would you all recommend us not doing anything till we get the formal, since they have the two options?
That you can go ahead if you want to. Now, this is an open system and different from what we have dealt with in the past, where you had to send in your registration information and all that. So you can go through with the Peabody and reserve those rooms if you want to. So that's as far as you're able to do that. It's open. It has not been open nationally yet. So Tennessee, if you all want to get the rooms, my recommendation is to go ahead, and if you are pretty sure you're going and that sort of thing, go ahead and do that, because when they release them, I'm thinking they cut the number of rooms that the Peabody was going to have for the national meeting, and so I'm assuming probably those are gonna get taken pretty quickly. We're hearing very positive things about people coming to this national meeting. So.
Yeah, I heard Iowa's taking a bus.
Okay, any final questions on that? All right, one final thing, and then that I'm going to say, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to talk a little bit about Nearpod this morning. But if you are a chair for any of our multi-county groups, make sure you get those awards after those things happen. I know they're all going to be virtual. Just email them to me or to Paula or to both, and because we've got the awards here, and then we're gonna have to mail those. So I think we've only sent out one at this point, but those public speaking ones, we're ready to go, ready to do those things. So send those out, and then later on we do multi-county, the same thing. We'll be doing all those by mail. And what we're planning on doing is sending them to the county, and we'll have give you probably a list of who won what in your packet, and you can just distribute those to those 4-Hers from there. Okay. All right. So Lynn, are you ready to give us about 10 good minutes of Nearpod, I guess?
Mitch, you told me 15, so if you're changing it to 10 now.
Well, yeah. Well,
I'll do my best.
You do what you can do.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. What I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see the Nearpod?
Looks good.
Okay, excellent. So Nearpod, this presentation hopefully won't take all that long, but I'm really excited about the opportunity to use Nearpod, and especially to show you guys how to use it. I know some of you probably have taken some of the classes and been involved in the instruction, but I wanted to kind of summarize it for you and make it easy for you to understand. So what I'd like to do is I I've set this up like it was a class that you would attend. So what I'll ask you to do is go ahead and either on your phone or on your computer, open up a new window. Once you've done that, if you'll go to nearpod.com, you don't have to have a user login to do this already, unless if you already have an account, that's great. But I want you to look step 3. There's 2 step 2s. Step 3 would be to join a lesson. Enter the code. Now the code, I'm going to put it in chat, but it's right there on my screen. It's up here at the top. It says A7652. And then it's going to ask you to do your name. So if you will go ahead and do that, I'll give you just a second. That's the code. It's in chat. And I will be able to start. There are 13 of you so far, loving it. This is one of the things that I love about this. There are 15 of you now. It is so easy to use. Whether kids have ever used this program before or not, it is so easy for them to use, and it makes everything interactive. So I really like it, and I hope that you will too. There are 27 of you now, which is great. I'm gonna give you just a couple more minutes, actually a couple seconds, because Mitch is only giving me 10 minutes. So all right, we're up to 30 people. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and advance. And if you have a question, just holler at me. I see somebody's chatting. Let's get all 60 of us in Nearpod. Yeah, Ty. All right. So we are going to go ahead and you are going to have the opportunity to participate in the Nearpod. So whether you're on your computer or you are on your phone, you should be seeing my slides. So the objectives of today's lesson are 3 things. I want to teach you the benefits of Nearpod for use with face-to-face and virtual programming, because you can do both. I want you to experience the characteristics and features of Nearpod, and then also explore ways to use Nearpod. So those are our objectives for today. And the first thing, this is a poll. You can set up polls in Nearpod. I want you to answer, if you will, for me, please. There are 42 of you now, which is great. Tell me how familiar you are with Nearpod. At this point, you should have a poll that's come up on your phone or on your screen. Look at y'all, you're great, you're doing good. So if I wanted to, I could show students' names and I could see who has answered. I'm not really worried about that right now, so I'm gonna hide those. But this way you know if somebody is participating or if they're not. So right now, 31.9% of you have been a participant. 26.7 of you have heard of it. 15.6 have made your own Nearpod, which is great. 8.9% of you never heard of it. Listen, we're going to talk, okay? We're going to get through this because it is fantastic. 6% of you are excited to try it, and I'm here to support you in that, guys. If you need something, you just reach out to me. So we're going to move on quickly, and I'm going to tell you what Nearpod is. First of all, it is an interactive educational tool that you can use with any programs that you've developed. Say that you have a presentation that you've developed in Nearpod, in Canva, in Google Classroom, and PowerPoint. You can import it into Nearpod and you can add different functions. There's content, images, videos, activities. You're going to have the opportunity through this Nearpod to do some of the matching pairs, to do draw it, fill in the blank, and to use the collaborate board. There's also a game called Time to Climb, and you answer questions and it gives you opportunities to advance. So what I want you to get here is that Nearpod is an interactive tool where you've already got your lessons put together. You're just adding different aspects to it. So how can it be used? Well, it can be used in 4-H clubs, whether you're in person or virtual. It can be done for project groups, day camps, judging teams. There are so many ways that you can utilize this and make a boring old presentation into an interactive, fun one. I'm really excited to see how you use this because I'm using it for a little bit of everything right now. So the Nearpod think tank was developed in November, and there are 8 of us on it. Jennifer Richards, the curriculum specialist for Tennessee State 4-H, and Trudy Newbeck are the co-chairs. And then we have 2 different subcommittees. The subcommittee for training and support is the one that is tasked with teaching everyone how to actually use the Nearpod program step by step. And then the resources subcommittee, which Tawny Wittenberger and I are representing the Eastern region, we are the ones that were tasked with developing the templates that would be used for Nearpod, developing the rubric for judging it when it's finished and it's put out to the state, and then also for developing Nearpods. Now there are 17 Nearpods so far that have been developed, and they are on a variety of topics. You'll see Health Rocks activities, you'll see exploring color, meat identification, poultry judging, horse bowl, skillathon, and I've made a chick chain promotion. Our chickens are coming tomorrow, y'all, so it may be too late to do chick chain promotion, but I'll show it to you in just a few minutes. We are adding Nearpods every day to this, and as you get your Nearpod done, if it's something that you could share with others or share with the state, we would love to have that and be able to put that on the website. Right now, we have 116 users that are 4-H agents and program assistants. Actually, that changed this morning because we got Ty Petty set up. He's 117. And the number of sessions that have been launched, these numbers were as of March 10th. So you can see in March, we had 18, but that was 10 days ago, actually 20 days ago. We've had over 1,000 youth that have joined in and been participants in Nearpods just like you are this morning. So that's really exciting. So there's a lot of use. Now, what I want to do is I want you to see some hands-on activities so that you'll understand how this works. As I said, this is a presentation that I did in Google Classroom, made changes, added some Nearpod functions, and now it's considered a Nearpod. So the first thing you're going to do is there is a fill in the blank. And if you want to do that, go ahead and fill in the blanks. This is the 4-H pledge. Hopefully you know this. I pledge my head to what thinking? Clearer, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, my health to better living, for my club, my community. Well, my community wanted to kick me back, and my world. So when you've done that, it tells me, good job, Lynn, you got 6 out of 6 correct. Well, good to know. I'm glad I know the 4-H pledge. The next thing is pretty neat because this one is where you can actually draw. It's called Draw It. And when I hit the start activity, you would have 15 seconds. So the activity here, what it's asking you to do is draw a star on a horse's head. If you have anything to do with the horse, you know, if you click on that horse and you hit the Draw It, you should be able to draw a star on this horse's head. Now, we know that in dealing with horses, it's not necessarily a star. It's just something that is written. And some of you, great job. Okay, you got those in, you submitted those. Love it. The next one, oh, wait a second. Let's go back one. The next one, you should have a matching set. There are 6 matches, and you can see what those are if you want to go ahead and try to click on those, see how many you get right. I think most of you are probably going to get this pretty easily. I made it pretty easy. The 4-H slogan, the 4-H motto, the logo, what our 2021 Tennessee State 4-H theme is. So if you'll match those up, and the cool thing about this is after you've done these, great job, Lauren. So proud of you, Lauren McCoy. You got them all right. After you've done all of these, then what you can do is you can go back in and you can view the pairs, the actual answers. So all you have to do is set that up to where those pairs go in together and they will populate themselves as the students try. So good job to all of you that got all of those right. This aspect is called the Collaborate board. And all you have to do where it says share thoughts and or images here is you can type something in. Now, as the presenter, you will have the option to approve anything that is put in. So if I wanted to approve something, I could do that. So they're coming to me and I'm checking them off that, yes, you've done a great job. These are your favorite events. So they're popping right up there. If you don't want to approve them, they pop right up there even without approval. Okay, so just so you know, this is one more thing. And I love this aspect because we've all kind of gotten over Zoom a little bit, I would say, but this is one way that the kids can actually do something that is interactive and they can say, you know, this is my favorite thing or answer a question. So in using Nearpod in your county, this is one of those polls again. How do you plan to use it? Will you tell other agents? Will you share your Nearpods? Will you create Nearpods? Will you do none of these? If you want to go ahead and answer that. And if you see over here on the side of my screen, it's giving us a percentage. So we've got right now 20 people are going to create Nearpods. 11 people are going to, 11% I should say, are going to share Nearpods. 9% will tell other people about it, okay? So it shows you as every person answers what their answer is and how many people out of the group are going to do those things. Again, I can show the students' names if I want to, but I don't have to. And in today's situation, I really don't need to. So the next Collaborate board that I've put up here, what can the think tank do to help you? New topics for Nearpods. What is there out there that you would like to see us do? I told you that we've done a number of livestock Nearpods to help with judging teams. I'm working on some wildlife ones. We're doing more Health Rocks ones. Is there anything that you can think of that you would like to see us do a Nearpod on? STEM lessons, excellent. Well, seeing as we have our new STEM specialist on here, Daniel, we're going to get you in on Nearpod, and if you're not familiar, we will help you get some of those things set up.
I've already started to develop a few of them, so I'm excited about this program.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you doing it. All right, so there are a variety of things here that people have said, and I love it. I love that you guys are participating in this, and I appreciate you. So one thing I want to do before I give it back to Mitch, I want to show you two things, okay? And I'm gonna do this as quickly as I can. Can y'all see this? Have you changed views?
Yes, that's back.
Yes. Okay, excellent. All right, so most of us are probably using Microsoft PowerPoint or Google Classroom to do our slides. This one I actually did in Canva, and I pulled Canva, I designed it. When you launch one, you're going to see that you have live participation or you have student paced. Right now, you're all in live participation because I've set you up that way.
Chickens? Well, join in with the fun with Tennessee 4-H, our Chick Chain program. All kinds of breeds and chickens. It's a great time. You'll love it. The objective of today's lesson is to answer 3 questions that you may have. What is Chick Chain? Why should you want to be a part of it? And how do you get involved? So what is Chick Chain? It's an educational yet fun opportunity for you to raise pullets, which are female chickens under the age of 5 months old, to learn about caring for animals and maybe even start your own business of selling eggs. Why should you take part? It's a lot of fun and you're going to learn a lot. So how does it work? Step 1 is to complete the registration form to participate in Chick Change in your county and to pay the fee if there is one. Step 2 is the day that they arrive. Your chicks are going to be 2 to 3 days old, so it's important that we have a phone number to get in contact with you when they get here.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop that one because I mean, honestly, y'all know what Chick Chain is and everything. But that one's only like 2 minutes and 43 seconds long. Now what I wanna show you is how you access these. So those of you that have not set up a Nearpod, we can get you set up. You can email me or you can email Trudy Newbeck and she can get you into an account. So once you have an account and you go in, you're gonna have a place that you have My Lessons. But that's not what I want to look at right now. What I want to look at is our school library. So I can go into the school library, and if I'm looking for something on beef, I can pull up beef, okay? If I am looking on, oh, and I shouldn't have even had to do that. If I'm looking for something on Health Rocks, I can click on Health Rocks and those come up. I would, of course, encourage you to check these, look at them, open them up, listen to them, before you show them, because there may be information in there you don't want as part of your lesson. But if I were to do this and I showed it in My Lessons, let's say that I want to edit something out. I can do that. I can open up the Nearpod and I can take a whole slide out. It'll give you the opportunity to move it, to delete it. It's very user friendly. Now, with that being said, I will tell you guys that there is a brunch and learn on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern. And if I were you, I would cut and paste this that I'm putting in the chat right now. That is the link that will take you there. And the lesson for this Wednesday is a great one because it's basically, you've got a PowerPoint that you've already developed. We're going to show you how to take that PowerPoint and put it into a Nearpod. The first one, I'll tell you, it took me almost a whole day, but I've gotten to where I can upload my PowerPoints, get things added in there, and I'm done within probably an hour or so. So once you've done it, it gets a lot easier. If you have questions, I will be glad to help you with this. I have developed a love for Nearpod. Emily, to answer your question, that's a good question. Where are the recordings housed to review at a later time? You can find the recordings from the sessions on the Microsoft Teams site under the invite. You can go under there. There is a Nearpod channel. And you can see that. I am sharing my screen to show you really quickly. Stop that share. Share. If you see the Teams and you go into invite, right here, there is a Nearpod one. And all of the Brunch and Learns have been uploaded to that. So if you've missed something, you can go back in there and you can check those out at a later time. But like I said, the one that's going to be done tomorrow at 10 o'clock, that's Eastern time, is going to be on uploading PowerPoints and making them into Nearpods. So it's going to be pretty easy. If they're too fast, I can tell you guys they've been very fast paced. And when I've done some of them, they've been fast paced. But if there's anything that I can help you with, just reach out to me. I don't mind at all. Like I said, I love Nearpod and it's been great. Mitch, I think I went way over 10 minutes. I know I went over 15. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I think it's good stuff. So I guess we could probably have a ton of questions. So I guess my thought process is, since we are running a little bit later, if you have questions, I would just ask Lynn directly, send her an email or something. She's on the committee. Also, Tawny Wittenbarger is on our committee. representing us. And so, but Lynn, that's awesome stuff. So we appreciate that. Appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And what we're going to do real quickly, we're going to take a 5-minute break. I know we're needing it. If we have some Clyde York folks that are on, this is all going to be camp from now on. So y'all can leave if you need to. And then we're going to turn it over to Scotty when we come back. So if we'll come back at about 11:23 or 4, we'll get started with Scotty and the rest of the camp stuff for the rest of the day.
Hey, Mitch.
Yes.
I'm going, when we get back, I looked at Super and we've only got about 50 or so people registered, but I know we've got extra people from camp here, but not everybody's registered in Super. So I'll put the link out when we get back so that they can, if they haven't, they can go in and check that. So.
I'm going to go down the hall myself. Okay, we're just about getting back. Scotty, you can go ahead and start getting ready. Scotty, I'm gonna turn it over to you. You're ready. Scotty's blank. He may. Is he not down in the wildlife building like everybody else? Is he having, I wonder if he's having issues there. You all know.
He's coming back, should be just a moment.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I see Sarah down there. I had you in the wrong spot. Let me move you up here.
There's some good discussion down in the chat, and Lynn, thanks for responding to all those. If you have other Nearpod questions, feel free to throw them in there, and I'm sure Lynn can handle them.
Tanner, did you see Anastasia's comment?
I did. That's always a strong talking point right there.
You know, it takes a lot of guts to pull off that look.
Well, that exact sentence was probably talked about 2-3 times yesterday. We did it just for you, Mitch. I was admiring your poster thing behind you. I like that thing.
Sid Carr did that for me in 1994. You can see it was back when Tennessee had sport programs. I don't know if you all know this or not, but at one time Tennessee did have sports. They competed in football and basketball. So, and in cows and hogs. Not that I'm bitter or anything. Hey, while I'm waiting on Scotty, we had talked about one thing, and I had put it off to this section, was our junior high, a junior high day at camp. And so we're going to call that Extreme Camp. And we're going to send that, we'll send that out, all the information out. But basically what our thought process is, we're going to have a day just for our junior highs at camp. For those that can get there, you know, if they get there, they get there. And we're going to try to do fun stuff and all that kind of stuff with them. So we'll be sending information out about that as we get closer. I know some of y'all have asked about junior high camp and that sort of thing. All right, looks like Scotty has got he's sharing his screen there.
Sorry, Mitch, I think my internet kicked me out.
Oh, that's okay. I got you. I'm gonna turn it over to you, and then we'll go from there.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you for having us today. And I don't know, is Justin on with us? I was going to give him a second just to introduce himself.
He is.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Scotty. So glad to be with y'all for a couple of minutes. Glad to have Scotty and the folks at Greenville, as well as Daniel Collins on the call today. I've shared this with all 3 regions. I know it's been a tough year. I know that some of you are probably excited for your own personal safety about the decision to reimagine 4-H camp. We've had a ton of questions. We're working through those as quickly as we can, but there is a very bright light at the end of the tunnel. We are planning some outstanding activities to bring to your counties. As Scotty, I think, and the team will emphasize throughout his talk today, it's going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to keep 4-H camp on the hearts and minds of our young people, because 2 years without being able to visit the camp is tough. And so I think that's first and foremost one of the things that we'll do. But secondary, it's going to provide a meaningful 4-H camp experience coming from the 4-H center that young people will be able to attend to be more cost effective than our traditional 4-H camp. So we're moving forward. We're feeling good about it. Some of y'all have asked for a few things from me that we're working on. For example, you've asked about kind of the blanket approval, and we are doing that. I approve those anyway, so I will do a blanket approval for all the day camp experiences. And then Dr. Stokes and I will actually be in Greenville tomorrow meeting with Scotty. She and I are going to go through that, make sure she feels good about the protocol. And then from there, we'll send that out to the county so you have a copy and kind of know exactly what we will need from each of you for your particular day camp experience. And then you'll work with your individual 4-H center if you do plan on going to Greenville, for example, for a day camp experience. But just wanted to share that, wanted you to know that this is a good thing. We've already gotten calls and emails from other states asking about our road show. I think you're going to be impressed. I know your young people are going to have a good experience. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Scotty. And if y'all need anything from me, you know how to get a hold of me.
Okay, I just want to start by saying I really appreciate everybody getting with us today. And I just want to say I appreciate Lacey and Terry. I believe they're on here too, but we really worked a lot together this year to try to put the road show on and the day event, just to try to get all the COVID documentation in place and the safety standards, and just really figure out what we're going to try to do. So I'd like to kick off a meeting by, let's see. I'd just like to say welcome, and I would like to introduce our full-time staff here at the center, just to make sure that everybody recognizes their face when they get to come. Okay, Miss Sarah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah. I'm the administrative specialist. You'll talk to me with questions about billing, any other questions you might have. I'll do my best to get answers for you. I'm also going to be looking in the chat for questions during this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Debbie Saylor, and I have had the pleasure of working in the kitchen and feeding the campers. I'm also carrying some happy news that I'm retiring, and I want to thank everyone that has been involved with 4-H and helping me to be able to have a successful time here. Thank you so much.
My name is J.R. Arnold. I work here at the Clyde Austin 4-H Center. I teach during our environmental program, Camp Explorer. During summers, I do wildlife, fossils, nature hikes, astronomy, and shooting sports.
My name is Aaron Daniel. Most of the agents know me as Opie. I have worked at this camp for well over 25 years. I'm kind of behind the scenes at this camp with my maintenance duties. Some agents see me a lot, some hardly see me at all. It just kind of depends on what's going on. But I also help teach with the year-round Camp Explore program.
And my name's Tanner. I've been here for probably 3 or 4 years, worked on camp staff a couple years. I'm gonna be taking over mostly all the 4-H stuff this summer. So you'll see us every day. If you guys need some, please let us know. We're here to help you guys. And then lastly, we're still looking for camp staff. So I'm gonna post a link in the chat. So if you know of anybody that wants to work this summer or anybody that needs extra money, send them our way. I've also shared it on our camp Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So if you wouldn't care to go on there and either share it through your counties or even personally, that would help us out a ton.
Well, I'd like to say a special shout out for Debbie, but she has been a great asset to the Clyde Austin 4-H Center for 17 years, and we will miss her. Let's see, on to the meeting. Today, I want to talk about the 4-H Roadshow, the on-site camping. And if you have any questions, like Sarah said, please just put them in the chat and we'll try to go through them all at the end. We have continually updated the camp resources page. So if you want to look in the right-hand corner, we've got a QR code. And also there's a tiny URL link. Sarah's going to drop that in the chat too. But that'll be your summer schedule, your on-site summer camp overview, and the off-site 4-H Roadshow overview. But all that information, we'll keep updating it. We have the latest version. For the off-site summer camp, we've been working really hard. I just want to let you know that we probably put thousands of hours in on developing this van of the UT 4-H van and Tanner's outfit. So we'll be able to be found and seen very well at these events. But for general information, we are hosting the camp planning sessions for all the counties. For the counties hosting the off-site or the 4-H Traveling Roadshow event, we would like to meet with each of you individually. We've already started sending out the form, which is below. Sarah can go ahead and link that in or drop it into chat for us. But we thank everybody that's already done that. But that'll be a good way for us all just to have some one-on-one time with each county. For the 4-H Traveling Roadshow, we are planning to lead activities from 9 to 3:30, and that'll be at your specified location. We'll be following the normal state camping ratios. We've had lots of questions about that one, but it will be the 1-to-8 ratio. And that will be for the supervision and the billing part of it. The adult volunteers, this is something we had a question about too. It will be a level 2. I want everybody to recognize that because I did have a level 3 when we first sent it out, but we've worked around and talked about that a little bit, and it will be a level 2 training. The teams will require the same level 1. The prices, I know we've sent this out before, but I just want you to have it in one place too, but it's $40 for the full day of camp planning or camp programming. We have 4 to 5 classes, and that will include the $1.88 camper insurance and a snack for them. We just want to make sure we have a snack just in case somebody misses breakfast. But we have asked you for a 35 minimum for each county. If you can, we'll need those numbers 1 week prior to the roadshow, and that's really just to make sure we have all the supplies necessary. For the 4-H staff run activities, we're going to be doing wildlife, the archery, health rocks, axe throwing, and the fossils and gym dig. JR, do you want to tell them about the wildlife and the fossil gym dig?
We are going to bring the snake on the road with us. It seems like that's the #1 thing kids want to come down to wildlife is to be able to hold the snake. So we will be bringing those with us. We're also going to do the crystals and fossils in a gym bag for the kids to dig through, and we'll have a way to identify those things for them so they have something to take home with them, a good hands-on activity. I think it'll go over real well with them.
For the archery, this will be new, but I wanted to make sure you got to see this. But it is actually something that Scott Reese has helped us get a hold of. And I think it's going to be a safe version to take to the counties with us. And it'll be something nice to have at camp here too. And this is something really exciting for us. We're going to bring the axe throw to you. And I just want to let everybody know that David, Eastern Region Office, they have helped us buy this. And we really appreciate that. But that's going to be something that can be available at camp from now on. And I think this may really fit in good with our carnival night from now on. But that's going to be a really fun activity for them. But thanks, David. We really appreciate that. For the adult agents and teen run activities, we're going to be bringing Gaga with us. It's an inflatable one. We'll have tie-dye. I want to make sure everybody realizes this one too, but we have got funding now for the 4-H Center to provide a shirt for each one of the campers. We'll bring the dye, the buckets, and rubber bands. But I think, Justin, was that from the 4-H Foundation? And is that somebody else helped provide the funding for that one?
It was to the 4-H Foundation, Scotty, but it's leaving me who the other entity was, and I'll find that out for you, Ray.
Okay, we'll make sure we have some banners up, but that's great. That's going to be great for the kids. Let's see, the recreational games, we'll be bringing those with us, and Tanner's getting a list together now, but we're going to try to have several to pick from, bring them, and then that way we'll have a couple different activities going at the same time with that. The side porch crafts, that's just like you normally do. If you have any activity you want to do with the kids, let's see, if you have any local programming, firefighters want to come in, TWRA, TVA, police department, the rescue squad, master gardeners, anything you could think of be a great little side, I guess, another activity for the kids. But TWRA, if you could work with them, or if you have a water access point, we're going to bring our fishing poles with us if you want us to. I know I've already had one person ask, but I think that'd be great for the kids. If you could work it out where it's legal and everything's good on that end, we'll bring them with us. For the on-site summer camp, we are hosting a camp planning session with all the counties. For the counties coming to camp, we would like to meet with you along with any other counties that's attending for that same day. If you could, please complete this form, and Sarah's going to drop that one too for us. If your camp schedule planning session is with another county, make sure that'll be on that same day too. Let's see, we are requiring a level 2 on that one and a 1 for the training. For coming to camp, we need those numbers 2 weeks, just as normal. And that's to allow Debbie to be able to order, all the supplies in for the kitchen, Tanner to get all the on-site crafts. And we're asking for a minimum of 35 people for that day activity from each county. And the maximum total number we're asking is for 180, and that would be for all counties that's attending that one day. For your on-site visit, we're offering 2 options. For both the regular and extended day, there'll be an option 1 or an option 2 to pick from. We're going to try to have the canteen open each day, and we're still working on how to do that. If you'd like to have your county-run campfire program, we're going to give you free s'more supplies at the end of the day. So just let me know before you come, and that's for the extended day or the short day, but that'll be some fun activity if you want to do it, and a nice snack for the road. We'll have the 2 options, which is the swimming pool. If that is correct, it'll be 2 options, like be option 1. If not, you'll get to archery, rifle, canoeing, fishing, wildlife, health, rocks. But we just feel like we need to have 2 rotations of the swimming pool to be able to give them time to change, get dried off, and on to the next activity. Those will run from 8:30 to 4. The extended day will be from 8:30 to 6. And basically, we'll be able to squeeze JR's class of fossils in there. We think the kids would really enjoy that. It's one of the most popular. New at camp, I just wanted to give you an update. The playground is going in. It's looking incredible. We'll have it ready before camp starts, but the people installing that is the ones that just introduced themselves, and I'm really proud of them, but they've been working really hard to get it ready for you. But that'll be a new activity before we can kind of scratch that into the recreation slot. For the on-site pricing, I've sent this out too, but it's for $50 for a regular day, and that's with the 5 classes, all the program options, the lunch, and a healthy snack, and that's provided by Healthy Living, and we'll try to do that in the morning too when they first come in. If you want the extended day, that'll give you an extra class that day, and it gives you the $1.88 on both options, includes the camper price. I'm sorry, including the camper price, the $1.88 is camper insurance camp will pay. So the next steps, what we really need to do is make sure everybody gets in there and schedules their camp planning one-on-one session, if you haven't already done so, and download the most updated camp planning resource that we started at the beginning right there, kind of shared the link. I guess, Mitch, we're ready for some questions or?
Yes, we can open. We had some on chat. Let's see real quick. And I was going to ask, the one thing I'm going to ask this first, but I remember there on the deal, we needed those numbers 1 week ahead of time. Are those going to be on Super, or how are we going to do that? I don't remember us talking about it.
I thought those were just going in Super like a normal camp.
Okay. Normal Super. So we'll set those up, and we just need them. We need those instead of 2 week numbers. They're going to be 1, right?
So
yeah, well,
each county will need to set up their own registration in Super. So that'll be up to each county to put that in.
Yeah, and the 1 week is for offsite. It's still 2 weeks for onsite because we have to deal with the food. It'll take us a little bit extra time.
Okay, let me go back and see how far back we've got. All right, Donna may be the first one. Did you give us an idea of tentative schedule for day at camp? Did he cover that well enough for you, Donna?
All we know is that they are having these classes, but we don't know like how long these classes are. Are these 45-minute classes, hour-long class? Do they get to play Gaga? It's not mentioned at all. You know, I don't know how to promote this or advertise this.
Yeah, some of them we're still have to know the numbers to know exactly which classes we're going to rotate and what time, but we're figuring they're going to be about 45 minutes. And JR may be able to talk better about this than Tanner to me, but about 45-minute class. Each one of those, say if fossils is running, there'll be an option for like Gaga, where we're going to have something going with all the classes matched up with activities. But basically it's about 45 minutes to an hour, and that's going to give us time to get cleanup and disinfectant between each rotation. We're going to send them around in cohorts still, so they'll actually stay separated in groups depending on the size, from 15 to 24 is what we're planning on.
So are we going to be, so that they're not going to be able to do like they have in the past, where there's like this group of centers that they could go do? Like if we've got volunteers who are willing to do tie-dye and somebody to kind of supervise Gaga, and maybe I've got a special program that I can bring in, or can we even bring special programs into camp? I guess would be another question there in itself. So they're going to be going from each station to station to station and required to stay there until time to move to the next. They're not going to have that flexibility to kind of move around then like they normally, like this group wants to go shoot basketball. They've gone to fossils. They've kind of done what they want to do, and now they're ready to go shoot basketball or go play on the playground for a little bit. That won't be an option, or that is kind of an option. How will that part work, I guess, is my question.
Elizabeth, what we're going to do is there'll actually be, for every class we're teaching, we'll have a recreational, like you're saying, Gaga basketball court. I think the tie-dye, I'm going to have free shirts for you. So that's something we're planning on you all doing with the kids too. But we want to have, like I said, if somebody didn't want to go to fossils, they are actually going to have the Gaga option. But every time they'll have an option to do one or two. But we're not really going to do I'm going to call it free range camping, where they can just go anywhere at any time. They will be rotating in a class schedule. And then basically what that's for, we're going to try to keep them rotating away from each other to keep social distancing, keep them in their own cohorts. And then that'll give us time as the instructors to actually clean every one of those activities between rotations. But that's our plan. And I know this is kind of still, I guess, up in the air, but we're trying to work on the schedule I guess it's really hard to nail it down without knowing exactly how many campers we'll have here a day.
Scotty, you're trying to keep those small groups to like 6. And would it help us, like, I guess you'll answer on our one thing, but like if we kind of did them in subgroups that wanted to travel together, how they sometimes request being in friends groups, will that help you?
Yeah, it will. And I'm planning on, like you, Connie, you would separate those kids from your county in the groups that you want to. And then you just tell them they're in group 1, 2, and I don't know, we may name them different colors or animal names, but we'll keep those together and let you be in charge of that. But I guess ideally, if we're having 6 classes, I'm saying it'll actually be 12 activities going on at camp at the same time. So they'll have a choice between, say, the color or the red group will be going to let's say, the basketball court or archery. And when you get down there, they'll have a choice to do either one. And I think when we do our camp planning individually with the counties, we could really nail down the schedule.
Yeah. And if you're having the camp come to your county for the traveling roadshow, you've got the option to build in some activities before or afterward to give you some flexibility too. And, Scotty's got that schedule set up so you could meet with him just in the next little over a week or so you can kind of nail down some of these details pretty quickly, hopefully.
Scotty, for those of us that are having it off-site, how many camp staff are you planning on sending?
Well, we're going to try to bring at least 6, but probably closer to 8 people, because we'll have full-time staff coming too, plus, basically to set up and break down in time. But I'm going to say there'll be probably 8 of us total.
So we need to provide probably 6 ourselves, including agents.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, thanks.
Scotty, you went a little fast, so I had a question. So you're saying for the on-site camp, there will be 6 classes for those of us who have signed up. They will be divided into 6 groups.
Yes.
So when I have my camp orientation a full month before you'll know how many are attending, I should put them into 6 groups or coordinate that with the counties you've matched us, 3 for us and 3 for them, because you've matched us with counties.
Yeah. Donna, I think if we could do a lot of that during our camp planning meeting, when we just have like you and the other county with us, I think it'd be really easy to kind of iron out some of those details. But we're planning on doing the 6 classes, and you figure basically 6, breaking your group up into six rotations.
Okay, but you did say then during those classes, those children have not full free range activities, but they do have some other choices like Gaga and basketball and.
Exactly. Like the swimming pool, when you have those 2 sessions, if you was doing those on camp, you know, we're gonna have the playground open, but we're not gonna force a kid to go to the swimming pool. We're gonna try to have option A or B that they want to do. And that'd be up to you when you get down to the pool. Okay, who wants to go over here? Have a team go over with them, then the rest will be at the pool for that session. Does that make sense? And some of that, we're still trying to work it out because it depends on if that day you come, if say 3 counties only has 40 people here versus the 180, that's going to really determine some of the schedule too, how we work it.
On that note, Scotty, I think you said that when the counties are coming to the camp, that they wouldn't mix in a group, so that they would just have one county in each group normally, unless the numbers are strange for some reason.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're going to try to keep it separated by county.
So then in that case, like we're grouped with 3 counties, which I kind of originally thought that we were all supposed to be by ourselves, but 3 seems like an awful lot. But anyway, it is what it is. But so we would only actually have 2 groups in that situation. So if I bring 60 kids, I'm going to have 30 kids in each group to be moving from session to session then, right?
I believe that'd be correct. Yes.
All right, there's a couple questions actually a few questions on chat. One was, is there a rain plan? I'm sure there's a rain plan, or will be by that time, Scotty.
Yeah.
And this comes from Anastasia. Does the 180 include camp staff, adults, team leaders? You know, or how, I guess that's just a quota question, or how many can they bring, and, you know, going back to total bed kind of thought process.
So what's the question, that one? What was
The
that
question was 108, does the 180 that can be at camp include camp staff, adults, and team leaders?
No, that, well, basically includes everybody except camp staff.
Everybody but camp staff.
Everybody but at your teams, adults, volunteers, anyone else.
Okay, so I guess, are you further dividing it, like 180 divided by 3, and that's our quota for how many kids and adults we can bring?
Well, you're at 35 minimum, and then we're going to work together, I guess, if you had 3 counties coming, but what we'll have to have is 180 would be the maximum number of people on the camp.
Okay,
So a lot of that-
if that doesn't include camp staff,
No,
then
it
that
doesn't.
would just be 180 divided between the 3 counties that are coming, right?
It could be, or it could be you end up having 120 that day, and then somebody else only has 25 for the other 2 counties, or 10, you know. This really,
Well, I guess that's kind of what I'm asking. You know, if Cotton County gets 120 kids registered before I can get 60, how is that fair to me?
Mitch,
You know
how
what
do
I
you feel
mean?
that?
Well, I think those are going to be, we're going to be having those discussions next and pretty soon with the camping groups. So, you know, that'll just be something y'all have to work out among yourselves, I guess. And I guess, Scotty, if that comes up, we'll just have to work that out in terms of maybe another day or something like that.
So I was thinking, if we have somebody that's got 150, looks like they're coming, I mean, that's a possibility too. We just find a whole day for themselves, you know?
And Scotty, I'm thinking
We've
that
already
you looked
booked
at
it
those target
for
numbers
that
that
day, and
everybody's.
we've got the.
I'm sorry, I think, Scotty, you looked at those target numbers that everybody submitted, and that's probably how you put those counties together. So hopefully we don't run into a problem with the capacity.
Yeah, that'd be a good problem if we do, you know, but I don't know if we will or not, but because like you said, we try to target those towards the county numbers together, but that'd be probably what we'd have.
I'll just say, I feel a little uncomfortable about how many kids are going to register. Like we said 35, but that was where a question I had was coming was, what happens if 50 want to come? So thank you for that.
And Scotty, I feel like the agents are going to get that rainy day question. Could you just go into a little bit of detail so when they get that question from parents, what if it rains? Let them have an idea of what you might be doing?
Well, and that's a question we have for everyone too. The sites, we're not familiar with the sites they've set up. Does most of them have shelters, pavilions, or any of them indoors? We really need to get that information from every county, and then that way we'll know how to basically work that day. But we'll have rain day options for sure, but we just need to know what they have at their sites.
Yeah, I think the camp situation on rain is probably not a huge
We got
issue
that.
as much as
Oh yeah,
it
we have
is-
it covered at camp, no matter what
as
happens.
is on the road. So, and I know some of you, Bradley County, I think are going to be in that pavilion, and you've got it in case that happens. But maybe we want to thinking about that as you start thinking about, you know, what your sites are going to be, or an alternate site. But again, those things can kind of be discussed, you know, for those specific counties in that county group meeting with Scotty.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I have two questions. So the first one is I know that we're all meeting with you at a separate time, and ours is going to be in late April, and I know we want to try to get some information out there. Is there any way you can send us that information that you presented to us, just so we can kind of put together something? And then my second question is, would you like us to send you some photos or anything of the sites to help? Yeah, that's my.
Yeah, I was going to ask you for that today too, but we're definitely going to send out that PowerPoint. But if you have any information you want to start sharing with us, like pictures of the site, how big it is, how many buildings, we was going to ask, do you have restroom access for hand washing areas? Do we need to bring extra Germ-X that day? All that stuff, but anything you can think of, just go ahead and start shooting it to us. And that way we can start kind of planning for every one of those sites.
The kids are definitely going to ask, do they have to wear masks at the camp? And for the kids who are on site, will they get the fossil bag as well to do a fossil dig, or is that strictly the roads show?
For the on-site, for the fossil part of it, JR is still going to give them some take-home goodies and stuff. That way they can have something to take home and show their friends and family. And as far as masks on-site, we'll be using the same COVID procedures that I think they're getting ready. I think Justin may want to speak to that, but I think he has almost got that worked out with Dr. Stokes approved, and we'll send all that out pretty soon to you. But I think they got a whole off-site, on-site approved package almost ready.
Our station's gonna be cleaned in between for you all coming to us, or is it just gonna be they're rotating between stations without things being cleaned up?
Are you talking about the off-site day?
Yeah, for the off-site day, I'm just wondering if things are gonna be sanitized in between, or if that's something we even need to worry about. Maybe I'm just being overly cautious.
Oh no, Megan, when we come to you, we're going to bring the cleaning supplies. Between every rotation, our center staff will clean that spot they're responsible for. And we'll try to bring some extra stuff for you all too, just to be able to do your, you know, your breakout activities. But we'll definitely on-site and off-site be clean.
Awesome, thank you.
If we're coming on site, if we're coming on site, are things like side porch or those type things to blend into those rotations acceptable? And then what are the parameters if we had like a special program that could come in for that to blend into what's already there at camp?
Yeah, let's see, Emily, we're going to try to have like the side porch, the recreation hall front porch, the classrooms. We're going to make spots for each county to have their own breakout spot, like the dining hall. But we'll try to make it your spot only, and that way we're not cross-contaminating as much as possible with the counties. But all the camp is going to be open for you to use pretty much.
So on the on-site, I know you said staff run activities are going to stop, I think at 6 o'clock. But if we could stay and still do campfire or whatnot, you know, if we've got our own designated spot, could we have our own little mini party and stuff too before we leave? Is there a set time that we have to leave campgrounds by? You know, as far as that sort of stuff goes.
Yeah, no, that's what we're wanting to tell you too, that if you have like, you want to do a county party, or if you want to do I don't know, the s'mores, we'll have different locations for that too, but we're not going to kick you out or run you off. We'll start closing down certain areas though, just so we can start disinfecting to get ready for the road show the next day or the next camp coming in. But we'll work closer with you when you get there and just say, hey, I want a side porch activity, and that's fine. But anything you can do with the kids, just make it a little bit more special day. We're all for it.
Can we bring in special I know you said if for the offsite, they can do special programs and activities. Can we do that then, if we're on site? Like if my reenactor group wants to come in and do some stuff with the kids or something like that?
I would think so off the top of my head, but let me verify that one. Let me just check to make sure everybody be okay with different people coming in.
Okay. And it may be something we need to work out in our groups. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's, let me double check, run up the poll to make sure. And then, but I think it's a good question.
Do you anticipate having that cool axe throwing house at 4-H camp, or is that a road show only?
Well, right now it's a road show, but if we can work it out, Donna, or we can set it up, I'll definitely let them do it here too. The one thing let's just say we could do it at camp too. I think we can pull it off.
Okay, let me make sure I've covered everything. If everybody will hold their questions for just a little bit, let me get through these that are on here. And then if we have any additional, so try not to add any more to the box, and then you can ask, okay? So let's see. I think you've talked about emailing the links and all that stuff. So I think that's the information that you've shared today is good. So you're going to do that, or we're going to do that. Then the next one was Maria wanted to know, so having the snakes is good. You don't have any other wildlife on the road show, I guess, live or not.
JR, what do you want to take to them?
Like bats and stuff, maybe.
Raccoons, possums.
We can still bring pelts and skulls, things like that, and the snakes. The snakes will be the only live animals that we bring, but we will bring other props and things to do wildlife with. So we'll make it good and special.
Okay, good deal. And then also we said, are we opening this up to just junior camp ages for this, or all ages? I think of course, we're going to try to have us a junior high thing later on in the year, as we talked about right before Scotty got on. But junior highs, if junior highs are going to come and participate, they can come. Is that correct, Scotty? Is that what you thought?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. What's the term you use? If they play, they pay, so to speak. So if they come, if you've got some that are coming as team leaders, and that's what they're there for, or if you've got some that are, particularly some of your younger junior highs that are coming to participate, then that's okay too. They'll participate as a camper.
How will on-site food work? Like, is it going to have to be prepackaged, or is it going to be able to be like they did at the schools, prepared in the kitchen and served like usual? Do we know that?
Yeah, right now we're planning on, we'll use all disposable stuff, but it'll basically be a clamshell or a plate. But we'll preload those up. The kids will be sitting at the table. We'll just bring a cart over to that individual table, so they don't have to come through the line or be standing around other groups. But it'll all be to you.
Elizabeth,
Okay.
Are you talking about at your place or at camp?
At camp.
Okay, all right.
At camp. And then I guess my other question is for at camp, if we've got obviously our ratios, but if I have extra volunteers that are willing to come help so that I can man and have more stations and things that available, do I have to count? Like, how would that? Do they have to pay? I guess is really kind of my question. Like sometimes you bring extra leaders, you got to pay for extra leaders. How would that work this year?
Well, I think we're under the same guidance we always did. It's just your 1-to-8 ratio is free. Then anybody else would be paying additionally.
Do we know what that fee is yet?
Well,
is it gonna be?
I think it's the same fee as like Cam does. But let me ask that question too. It's a good question. I want to make sure I'm not overcharging in case you want to bring extra. Make me a note for that one.
I know that's
Would that be the same
offsite.
for?
That's an issue for the offsite too, because it could be that if we have extra things for them to do, our leader ratio might be higher than the number of kids would, break out for. So I was concerned about that. If you're asking us to bring team leaders to help, get kids from one station to the next as well as to man part of the stations.
Let me check on that one. Now, I'll put an answer and put it in that, I guess on one of the bottom of the forms for us. That way you'll know, get it in writing for you.
Let me make sure I got that question right. Amy, if we're talking about the road show in terms of volunteers, we just want to make sure we've got the minimum. And if you have more than that, Scotty, tell me if I'm wrong, because we've talked about this about 15 different ways.
Yeah.
If you end up with more, that ratio is higher. In other words, you've got more volunteer leaders than what we would normally do at camp. That's, we don't have a problem with that as long as you're feeding them. Is that correct, Scotty?
Yes, I think that was correct.
Does that make sense, Amy? Now at camp, that may be a different situation.
That makes sense, but I'm not sure that that's what the information has been communicated to us, because I'm wanting to say that the communication we got was that, you know, if you are beyond that ratio, that they would be charged. So
They're not going to be charged at your place.
okay.
The only ones that are going to be charged at your place, Scotty, tell me if I'm wrong, are going to be the kids that are participating in the road show.
Yeah, and that's what I thought too. That they play, they pay. That kind of the motto he's going with. But let me ask everybody. I'll make sure I get that in writing, and that way it's clear for offsite and offsite the billing procedure, and I'll send that out for you. So that's a really good question.
All right, and Samantha, I don't know if we answered your question or not. If the swimming option is chosen, will campers still be given the opportunity to do archery from option 2? I don't know if we answered that or not. I was looking at these questions. Did we get that a minute ago or not?
Basically, I was just wondering is if we chose option 1, and the other county we go with chooses option 2, will they blend together? Will some things from option 2 still be available for option 1 campers?
See, I think that's one of those we want to talk about as our smaller groups, just to work it out to make sure, you know, but I think that's something we need to work out as our smaller groups.
Okay, thank you.
And I think obviously you're going to have more flexibility at camp, you know, because you can change it a little bit. It's kind of hard to change what you have in the trailer.
Yeah.
Let's see, I think we're caught up. Let me make sure I've caught up, and then we have some more additional questions. Are you going to bring hand washing supplies, or do we need to provide? I'm not sure on the road show. Probably we'll throw that in the van and probably make sure we have plenty of that. I'm assuming, Scotty. And mask as well, in case we have to have that. We'll make sure that's.
We'll bring extra just to make sure we'll have some extra at camp, just in case somebody forgot it.
Yeah. Alicia, did we cover that with all that meals? Your question about the lunch and snacks?
Yes, that answer.
Okay. Someone already answered about it being 4 through 8. I think we covered that, Amber. Yeah, and then Anastasia, we do have the other junior high option a little bit later on. Could a rising 4th grader attend? That's a good question, Scotty. Do we have a problem with a rising 4th grader attending?
I don't. I thought we asked. Is that? I think it's a state 4-H office or your office. That's a beyond my pay grade. But
that's a good question, and you know, my first thought is we're paying for them. That I think it's okay, and we'll add to those numbers. I don't see that as being an issue. I just don't. And I'm David, you may want to address that. I just off the cuff, I guess, is my thought process. Back to you, Olivia. Anybody got that's on have an issue with that?
I didn't know. I guess I was kind of worried about like insurance. I didn't know if that would cover them because they're younger, if that applied, or that's just why I wanted to double check.
I think it would be okay if, you know, if they exceed 600 and all that stuff. I think that would be just like everybody else. I think if the parents are willing to do that, but I mean, it is a one-day deal. It's not overnight. I don't see it's going to hurt us a whole lot. We've got the lunch.
So are you saying that they can come now to 4-H camp or just the roadshow camp? 4th graders. Because you're kind of setting a whole new precedence because
We're not setting a precedent for what's going to happen after this thing. This is just for this particular event. There's no precedent set for that.
I'm kind of with Donna on that one, but I think it needs to be state 4-H office because of liability insurance. I could see after August 1st, third graders, are considered fourth graders, but because of school, but.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll make that check with the state office and see. I think we lost Justin. Daniel, I bet you don't want to jump into that can of worms, do you? Daniel's.
No, it's one of those things that you can. It's one side of the other to the other. But that
we'll get Justin to make that call and send out an email. All right.
And Mitch, I assume like for us, I was just going to have a nurse to do a lice check before we get on the bus. So I assume lice checks and everybody's health forms are all standard. That wasn't mentioned in anything, but I assume that this would be a good place to remind everybody.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Connie,
And also, there was a question about first aid for on-site. I'm assuming that is that something that y'all will probably have something provided for that? Of course, we'll have everybody that's there supposedly going to be CPR and first aid certified, so we just have to have a first aid kit. So if that comes with the trailer, we'll be good.
I've got a question. I'm glad Connie said something about it. For the offsite, the roadshow, whatever we're calling the shindig, what kind of health screening do they need to do to attend that, or do they need to do it? Is there anything extra that needs to be COVID related for that? I have a lot of questions, I guess, on that front.
Scotty, you got any answers for that?
We got you muted, Scotty.
That's probably a good thing, but
I was going to say, you can't mute yourself. That's not a way out.
Yeah, next question, right. But no, I think that's coming out with some of those guidelines. It'll be in that.
I was getting ready to say the exact same thing. We're working on those guidelines as quickly as we can. They're having to come from way above us. So we are definitely trying to get that out ASAP for you all.
Daniel, can you get with Justin on that third grade question and just see if we can get kind of a definitive answer?
I can, because I actually have a meeting with him in about 50 minutes. So yeah, I will definitely ask him that question.
Hey, Mitch, something else. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and I guess kind of along that same line, will these be kind of the guidelines that we'll use for our summer day camps that we typically do in addition to our overnight camp stuff? Like I have 3 additional summer day camps planned. So Daniel, I guess I'm just wondering, can I use these guidelines kind of, is that going to be the expectation for those camps as well?
I think the way that we presented this was that this would be a blanket for the entire system to be able to use any type of protocols when it comes to health checks, COVID related, any type of that for any type of camp, day camp, any event that's face to face.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I was going to say too, somebody asked about the CPR training. We still have spots available at the Clyde Austin. And I think, Sarah, did you drop that link of information in the chat? Have you got that? But it's actually the link you go to, and you'd actually do your online part before we actually show up at camp on your day.
Maybe 15 pages up.
We'll put it too. We'll put all those links in the next form we send out and update the forms, and we'll have them all.
And Alicia asked a pretty good question that probably needs Daniel, it's there in the chat about the lice. Is a lice check really needed for a one-day event if they're not sleeping overnight? So, I mean, we want to do the right thing on that, but that lice check is a booger to try, that we've been dealing with for a long time to get that done. And I know it's very difficult. It's a lot easier for junior camp where they're all in one group and they bring them in. Junior high camp, it gets really difficult, and because they're all separated out. So that may be something, I mean, if we need to do the right thing, we want to do it, but if it's something that we don't see as a real big issue, then maybe that's something to make it a whole lot easier on agents to not have to deal with that.
And I'll just add, I think if we're truly following COVID guidelines, they're not going to be hugging on each other either. And we're going to have to invest time into doing any sort of COVID check that typically we would be doing the last check. So I think I would love to not see that requirement because it's going to take us additional.
Okay, I think we're at the bottom unless I missed somebody. Did I miss anybody? I don't want, if I did, feel free to just ask it.
I don't think we answered the question about meals. Did you say that box lunches, Scotty?
Well, on
for the road show.
For the road show, I think that's going to be up to the county. Oh, at camp. We're basically going to serve them in pods on all disposables. It'll probably be more like the box lunch, but we'll be making it in the kitchen. Then we'll bring it out to the table or the area they're eating at. Because we're hoping to have pretty days. We'll have them eating outside too this summer.
And even when they're eating, you were going to try to separate them by counties a little bit if you could.
Still in their counties, still in their pods. Yeah, they won't be intermingling during meals.
Do we have a menu, Scotty, for what meals will be served?
We're probably doing the grilled hot dog lunch and then the full chicken strips for the extended day. The bank
answer
supper.
The offsite, the roadshow lunch question.
Okay, and so what's the question on the road show? How do they need to do meals? Is that what you're saying, Connie Griner?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Daniel, in some of those guidelines, will there be something about meal service in those too, or is that just?
That is something that I don't know, but I will definitely get that answer for you, and we will definitely get that rolling out there.
Add that into those guidelines.
I'll jump in there real quick. I asked that question when we had Daniel's ear for TAE 4-H board meeting on Friday, and Justin Crow told us then that in order for us to serve it in the county, it has to be prepackaged. So either a box lunch or like I'm going to work with my school system and be able to provide that. That's acceptable, but we're not allowed, according to him, we're not allowed to prepare anything in a kitchen and serve it to them ourselves. It has to be something prepackaged and brought in. But he also said they're working on a couple other things with that too, and that it could potentially change. But that was his official statement on Friday.
Hey, just an idea. We have several places like Farm Bureau and such that give scholarship money for us, and we're actually going to ask them to maybe provide lunch that day. So that might be a way to still get scholarship money, but also have your lunch paid for. So you can find a local business that pre-packages and could probably do that. Just a thought.
Just one more too. And like Elizabeth said, our school system has a summer feeding program. So depending on where you have it, I know they actually deliver the meals to locations like central, like in our main, town. If you've been in Johnson County, it's not really a big town, but the summer feeding program does do that through the school system. And if you get it set up with them, you can provide, they'll provide it free of charge, and it's prepackaged. It's everything like they'd normally get. So that is maybe a way to kind of save some money and avoid that whole issue, because they have to follow the guidelines anyways.
I'm going to piggyback on Danielle's information right there. I have a call into the state summer feeding program person. She was on vacation last week, so she's catching up. So we're actually supposed to meet this week. So I'm hoping to have something for you all related to that to send out to all counties in the state.
I'd like to add to that. Our county has something similar to that. And I will say that ours is funded through a grant, which may be how everybody's is, but if they don't use that, they lose it. So it might be something to encourage, people to use it so that they don't lose that funding.
Yeah, and our county is doing like 4 sites this summer, and some counties are even feeding parents. Our schools are feeding even parents that are home during the daytime, drive-by schools. And another thought for some of you that are doing the offsites, one of our safety camps, we had like some funds, but McDonald's prepared our Happy Meals, and they used the juice boxes instead of Cokes. So that was still, each child had an individual box. So that may be an option for some.
Hey, Scotty, I have a question for you. And I know that your schedule is probably as crazy as ours is, but I was just thinking, I mean, about the location, the logistics and everything. I mean, have y'all thought about putting together a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet and going out to the locations yourself, like taking a 2 or 3 day trip around the region and seeing the locations and getting an idea firsthand? I mean, we can send you this stuff, but I'm just concerned. I mean, if you haven't been there or seen it or know what you're looking at, I mean, if we've got 6 to 12 activities going on at one time, I don't know that the space that we have lined up is going to be large enough for that.
Yeah.
And that may just be me.
Well, and that's the stuff, if you know that, put it in the comments, but yeah, we definitely would love to come out and look if we get time. That's our plan too. I know Tanner's gonna be on some Google Earth looking around at some of these locations, but it really helps just to walk around them. But if you know there'll be some issues, you know, definitely shoot me an email and let's get a time to talk about them before we get too far along, because we may have to change some stuff up.
Okay, thanks.
If it's all right, I'm going to throw this spreadsheet that Sarah shared the link earlier just to make sure everybody has gotten into it and has seen it. But we've got 13 counties here that have already scheduled a meeting time with Scotty and the crew there at the camp. So make sure that you take time to look at that. And if you want to get early, go ahead and get in there soon. April 7 and 8 are filling up pretty quick.
Can you clarify with that, Ty? Are we supposed to schedule the same time as the other counties scheduled to attend the same day as us? Or do they?
Scotty, ideally you want them at the same time, right?
Possible,
so they may have to
I think that'd be a lot better for the planning aspect of it, but I know it may not be possible every time, but you know, if you can't get together, if you have an alternate date, let me know, because we definitely will, you know, we're very flexible.
So the 3 counties that are scheduled for a day together, did they have to choose the same option and the same either extended or shortened day? Or can each of the 3 counties choose a separate option?
Well, I think it's going to depend on how many camp staff we have available, the number of kids are coming, but I think that's something we can work out in our individual camp planning, you know, to see if there is something vastly different that you want.
Scotty, one question that came up that probably we need to, you know, just go ahead and make sure we address is if the kid cannot attend due to COVID-related issue, will they be refunded for camp fees?
Yes, that's the same, you know, if someone's sick and stuff, just standard operating procedure. If they're sick.
And that could be, it wouldn't necessarily have to be COVID either, would it?
No, it's the same guidelines.
Okay. And then here was another take on lunch. Could they pack their own lunch?
If they're coming to camp, lunch is provided. It'll be here at the same price. Yeah, because, you know, we'll still have the full staff running.
On the road show, that will be something that agent needs to work out. I could see you having if you had a food sensitive person or something, that might be the easiest way to handle it.
And that's the thing too. I'm glad you said that. If you have any allergies and you know somebody's coming from your county, make sure you let us know, because we'll still, you know, try to take care of all those too. I think Tanner's wanting to know what we eating on the road show, right, Tanner?
Tanner just has no guts.
Yeah.
No comment. All right.
I heard Mitch is getting steak for everybody, right?
Yeah. Spam. It was spam. Yeah, you were close. Can you put in the link the online CPR training for Greenville? That was, I think, from Connie.
Can you add that again, Sarah?
And for counties that might be,
I see you have it up there. It's up there.
For counties that are close to Crossville, that is an option to contact them and go over that way to do your on-site skills assessment deal for first aid training and CPR.
Yeah, Lacey's been generous enough. If she has spaces, but you want to do that pretty quick, but she's offered to do that, so we wouldn't have to drive so far.
No other questions?
We asked Scotty if he was making enough money that we needed to send all the Eastern region to Greenville. And he said, no, he's not making much money. He's just doing it to help everybody. So wherever you want to get that done, you can do it.
Yeah, we're not charging anything over the actual fees the Red Cross charges.
I have a question. If we are part of the traveling roadshow and we're probably going to have over 50 people, is there a blanket approval from the region going out, or are we required to do one by county?
Blanket from the state. I know that answer. Justin is handling that from the state.
I have a question as well. I have a couple actually. If we have kids coming, I know from being around some of these kids at camp, and we camp usually the first week. This is hitting during our normal camp week, so I know it'll still be an issue. And working outside myself, am I allowed to provide bottled water, or is that a no-no?
Are you talking about the roadshow?
Yes, for the road show.
I think you could provide bottled water for sure. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if I could have it like, hey, if you need a water, go to the cooler, grab you a water.
Well, I think you want to figure out a way to spread it out where they're not 15 kids around a cooler all at one time, And
Okay.
you might, the way to handle that probably would be to have a volunteer with gloves and a mask handing that out.
Okay, and then is there anything first aid wise for off-site that we need to be conscious of, that we need to have on site with us? I don't know if that was addressed earlier or not.
We're going to bring a first aid kit with us. The defibrillator will be coming with us. And we'll bring a logbook too for you all to fill out in case you have incidents. And the same thing for the camp. And I'll have the first aid fully stocked as normal in a place, in case we have any issues here. Another good health, we just got back at, there will be no lice checks this summer for the offsite or onsite. So that's a really good one.
Alicia Victoria lice check policy.
Yeah.
There we go. What other questions do we got? Well, we've still got a few minutes.
I saw where there's one county that's going to be on site 3 days in a row. Is that an option for others too? I mean, I thought it was just a single day event thing and done with it.
No, I want to offer you all that too. But Elizabeth, if you have a really good response to this is no overnight camping, but just for day trips. But if you want to add another day trip, just let me know on an individual basis and we'll try to work you in there. But we want the kids to get here as many times as they can. I do have July dates. If anybody wants another date in July, we can try to work those in too.
Because I'm just concerned. I mean, if I go out and promote it like I want to promote it and get lots of kids excited, and then I come back and I've got 75, 80 kids that want to go, but I can only take 50, I'm a little nervous about that.
I understand that.
Well, you're all close, so I'd say Scotty can be able to work with you to get you over there.
Definitely give you some extra days, no problem.
Other questions? I think we've covered everything in chat.
And those extra days, Scotty, could be the same group of kids or two different groups of kids, I guess.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree.
Trying to think if there was anything else. Anything else? I mean, a lot of these questions will probably be, you'll be able to answer additional questions when you have your meeting. So get those scheduled. Let's get that done as quickly as we can. And, that's where we're going to be able to work out problems like quotas and get that number right and everything like that as well. Anything, David? I see you're active there. We're getting down toward the end. Anything you want to add at this point?
I want to go back to what I said at the very beginning. Folks, this summer is going to be require some patience and some diligence and being very particular with looking at details. And I know some of you want every answer today, and those answers are not available to be provided yet. Because part of this, it's being engineered as we go to deal with the best safety with the facts that we know, with the resources and the facilities that we have. There still could be some things that will have to change a lot from what we are. I know the question, I've heard 2 or 3 times, this exemption is going to be a statewide for the at camp and the at county location, but any other time we're doing 50 or more, it still is going to require that separate exemption request out there unless the Vice Chancellor and Dr. Cross changes that on the UTIA guidelines. So we still got a lot of hurdles on these state events yet of how to do. You heard enough questions that I heard on just our regional events of how to handle these. So everybody take a deep breath, have some patience. I think it's going to be an opportunity to provide some new and twisting things to 4-Hers. It's not the standard, go back to the calendar and here's the way it was. That's the thing you just got to take off the shelf, because there is no shelf for the textbooks for this year. So recognize that, right. I know, Elizabeth, that was some really good questions I liked about, can I bring my county another day? Can I bring my kids 2 days in a row? Those are things, now that you've heard some of this, you may want to do a little bit of changing. As long as that schedule is flexible, Scotty, I assume you could make deal with it, because nothing's in super, nothing's CASP on that, right? The goal is to try to get as many youth that can come to camp or get the experience through the road show that can be accommodated is what we want to do, and still meet all the safety guidelines.
Exactly. And the schedule we've got everybody in right now, that doesn't have to be in total stone. So if you see a day in July, you want to send me some more dates, but we did the best we could with the dates everybody picked. But we're flexible, but like David said, the #1 goal is many kids that experience 4-H this summer. That's our goal. So if that means I need to move you to July to another date, we're all about that too. So just send me a request, another date, say, hey, July the 15th is better, the 18th or whatever, and I'll try to work you in. Even if you want your own day, you feel like you fill a day up, we're willing to work with you.
Scotty, thank you very much. I appreciate your willingness to be flexible and adaptable. And that's what I ask of each of you as professionals, to recognize that need this year, and to let me say thank you for being willing to do this, because I know it's disrupted the apple cart. But when we're sitting here in March of 21 compared to March of 20, and last year, everything, it was off, or virtual. So, now it's like we're readjusting the thermostat, and it's hard to get that thermostat set on what's most comfortable. It might be comfortable for you, but somebody else is totally uncomfortable either on the warm side or the cold side. So we're trying to get back there. And I think 21 will be one of those that we'll talk about. Shoo-wee, this was a real deal, but look what we were able to accomplish. And I got to congratulate Lynn on that Nearpod. I didn't really know what a Nearpod is. And I've had to jump on and off to handle some other issues, so I've not got to hear every word of today. But let me say thanks for everyone's positive attitude, and I know you're sincere and genuine because of the number of questions that were asked. It's just recognize that right now we might not have that completely solid fixed question or fixed answer that's truly ready to roll out. Anyway, Mitch, I'll let you get on with it. I've got to go to another one. So
Thanks, David.
Enjoyed seeing everybody in a virtual world today.
Yeah, thanks, David.
All right.
The one thing I would just kind of finish up with, and I appreciate Scotty's flexibility, and he's been, we've been texting and calling and all this to try to get this thing worked out. And I know he's been dealing with his folks and other counterparts across the state. But if you looked on your schedule and you saw, some of you said, well, I saw on the schedule this or that. The one thing that stands out to me is on one day, he's going to Bradley County. He's leaving Greenville. He's going to Bradley County and doing their road show. He's leaving Bradley, going back to Greenville that night, then going to Johnson County the next day and doing the road show, coming back to Greenville, and then going to Scott County. So, they're the camp staff, and they're going to be pulling a trailer and pulling Tanner along too. So I mean, they're putting a lot into this. There's been a lot of planning, and they've been very flexible, and they've been willing to go the extra mile. Because I'm gonna tell you, I've never been that I can remember from Greenville to Cleveland to Mountain City back to to Scott County, and back to Greenville. I've never made that trip, and certainly not pulling a trailer. So I appreciate what they've done, and I know you all do too. I appreciate y'all's questions, and you know, y'all think through this. Y'all are a great group that you understand the camping program, and so I appreciate that as well. But thanks, Scotty. We appreciate you. We appreciate your staff, and thank you for everything you've done. And if there's anything that we need to do, you let us know. Any final words or thoughts, Ty, Nancy, or Justin?
I have one quick question. A lot of people are listing their cell numbers as far as contacts. Are you going to set up a Zoom for these meetings?
Yeah, we actually, I think there's one group Zoom already set up. So your time, you'll just log into that. It's already,
Okay.
I think it's at the bottom of that one.
Okay.
I think it is, but if it's not,
Okay,
I'll check it.
great. I just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Good deal. Justin, anything? Justin's got the head shake going. Good deal. Welcome to the world of Eastern Region 4-H, Justin.
Just so excited, Mitch. He cannot wait.
Jacked up on sugar from a nice
I know.
cake.
Hey, you know, when I started doing 4-H, I had a head full of hair too. So I just wanted you to know that. And Ty, anything from you?
I think we've covered it. Thanks, everybody. Looking forward to a good 2021 summer 4-H camp season, even if it's a little different than usual.
And Debbie, we're going to miss you. If you leave us, I hope you leave the recipes to that great dip that you always made for me in the afternoon.
Oh, yes, I will.
Thank you. All right, Scotty, we appreciate y'all, and we appreciate everybody, all the agents being on today. And if you've got any further questions or anything, just feel free to contact us, and we'll do the best we can. Y'all have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, everybody.